Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your guild master, Rick Perry, aka Timu Samurai.
And I am your Guildmaster, Baron Kane, and admittedly, I'm already just too tired for this.
And welcome to our day one coverage of Origins Game Fair. Technically, today is day 2, but I felt like yesterday was day 0.5, and today is day 1. And this will be the first of a few episodes giving our coverage of the convention center. We have some really good interviews lined up for you guys.
Yeah, we did a lot of our footwork yesterday, but I mean, I think we already went over that, depending on when you hear yesterday's footage. But we already did a lot of footwork. Then we hit the aisles today. I like how today was very much. We got a couple more than one. We go to talk to somebody, and they're like, "You need to go talk to this person," and it was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So,
a lot of really helping each other out. I love the Origins community.
Oh yeah. And we found the cosplayers this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it was impossible to find them last year, but
I felt bad about missing them last year, so we're going to make sure we do some coverage with them this year.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of charity work this year too, which, you know, the Ghostbusters of Columbus, Ohio are there as well doing charity work. That's pretty much what they do.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the 501st in that, and they're, you know, go out, cosplay, raise money.
Sure. So stay tuned, because a lot of great content coming up, and a few more episodes will be coming out after this one, and can't wait for you all to hear it.
Yeah.
We're live once again from the Origins convention floor with 2 brand new guild members. Feel free to introduce yourselves.
I am Jeff Ignatowski. I'm the owner of Lair Games and the creator of Killers the Card Game.
And I'm Kenny Baker. I'm Jeff's assistant and illustrator on his book.
And could you tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins?
So we actually have several different games here with us. Killers is our original game. It is a cross between D&D and Magic. So in the game, you get a stable of 5 killers. Your goal is to get 10 kills or be the last killer standing. So you have to avoid the police, you got to avoid the other players, and you got to get your kills.
And where is this game available?
So it is available on Amazon. It's available on my website, scorpionlairgames.com, or you can come and get it here at Origins. We've got a bundle deal where you can pick up the base game and get 2 expansions. You can just come and get the base game, or you can just pick up your expansions if you don't have those yet. And then you can come and check out Step Right Up, Rule the Sideshow, which is our game that is coming later this year. Or you can check out The Profiler, which is our social deduction game. And then you can always pick up my award-winning true crime book called Beyond the Headlines, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends.
Would you say you have any big inspirations or anybody that you'd like to credit as far as like bringing you to where you are in your thought process?
You know, I've always been a huge fan of true crime, obviously. It has been a thing all of my life, but even here at Origins, there is a number of game designers and companies and stuff that have always inspired me. You know, obviously with social deduction, I've always been very inspired by Werewolf and everything that those guys do there. I love Final Girl and all the stuff that they do there. So a lot of the different horror games. Right next to me, I've got my buddy Jordan, who has Don't Get Stabbed, and he has done some incredible stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of different places here and a lot of different companies that have really inspired all the things that I do. You know, I don't know if they're here this year, but typically Hunted Killer is here as well. And, you know, I actually got started out there doing like those type of murder mystery games and creating some of that. Killers actually came from one of those kind of experiments around Christmas time. So, you know, there's so much inspiration here and so many different things that are being done. I can never say enough about this convention and the people that Gamma brings together to do all of this stuff.
Speaking of which, there's a lot of different gaming conventions out there. Why Origins?
So, you know, Origins has a lot of things going for it. It is a much more accessible convention. You know, people can come here. You don't have to elbow people out of the way and fight your way down the aisles. You can actually stop and talk to designers, talk to game creators, talk to the people that can really give you the scoop on how like to create things. You can learn so much with all the educational things that Gamma offers and that Origins brings together. And then, you know, just the people here, the group of people that it brings together, we all just love gaming. We love other people and getting together and sitting around the table and playing with a whole bunch of cardboard.
Could not agree with you more. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have an excellent show. And one more time, tell our listeners where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me at booth 202 here at Origins, or you can go to scorpionlairgames.com and pick up any of the stuff that I have.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We are here once again live on the Origins game floor with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Brian Colin. I'm the co-creator of Vast Grim, Plunderlust, Squirmish. I make lots of weird stuff in a horrible sci-fi universe that's coming to a terrible end.
And could you tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins?
Sure, absolutely. I brought the Vast Grim core rulebook along with 6 additional expansions, some of my original sculptures of weird alien species that I photograph and photo bash and put into my layouts. I brought metal prints, t-shirts, pins, patches. I brought a bunch of Morkborg third-party content by friends of mine from all over the world that can't make it to other shows to try and help get their work out there. I brought some of my plushies and squishies. I brought my card game Plunderlust. I've got a lot of stuff in a small 10 by 10 corner space.
You definitely are making an impression. I mean, it stands out. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. A lot of RPG stuff is very black and dark, and I try to be vibrant and offset the horror that is in my RPG by making it bright and weird.
Yeah, it's definitely the most colorful grimdark I've ever seen.
Thank you. And I try to dress it head to toe and be like completely on brand as I can.
Who do you think is your target audience? Who among our listeners would be the kind of people who would like your stuff?
Well, I try to make everything that my 13-year-old self would have wanted. So anybody that was kind of nerdy in middle or high school that liked skateboards, even though they couldn't really do tricks, loved Trapper Keepers, things like that. Yeah.
That's perfect. Where is your stuff available?
It's available at creaturecuration.com, and hopefully if you can't find it there, or ask your local retailers to carry it.
Yeah.
Always support retail stores if you can.
Sure.
And there's a lot of different game conventions out there. Why Origins?
Origins was one of the first shows after I branched out of the Atlanta area. I did Gen Con and Origins in the same year. 2017, I think, was the first year I did Origins, and it's always had a wonderful spot in my heart because you get a good amount of traffic for selling things, which is important when you're trying to make a living doing this, but there's also enough time to have great conversations and make new friends like I'm by becoming a member of the guild today.
That's right. Thank you so very much for your time. We hope you have an excellent rest of your show. And one more time for our listeners, where can they find you?
They can find me at creaturecuration.com.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
We're once again live here at the Origins game floor with brand new guild members. Feel free to introduce yourselves.
I am Jordan with Rookie Mage Games.
And I am Alex. And tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
So I brought a couple of my games. So I design games and self-publish. My most popular one is Don't Get Stabbed, which is like horror movies. It's kind of the vibe for it. I also got a social deduction game called The Unseen. I've also got a kids game called Portal Potties, which is about wizards who lose their jobs and teleport poop into their competitors' toilets to put them out of business.
Tell us a little bit about who your target audience is.
My target audience is basically my friends. If I can make something they enjoy, then it's like, oh, I think I can make this work for everyone else. But like for Don't Get Stabbed, anyone likes horror movie stuff. It's very like cliche horror movie tropes. So if you like that kind of stuff, all my stuff is very casual as well. It's 15 minutes, 20 minutes max tech games.
Do you have any big influences or inspirations?
Video games. I love playing video games too, and it's like, hey, I think this mechanic might be able to be changed into something that works in a card game. So that's one of the fun things I've tried to do. I had a game for a while that was like based off of fighting games of like creating combos and stuff. So video games and seeing the way they kind of do mechanics and trying to think of how can that be translated into cards and to boards. I enjoy it.
Perfect. Where can people find your stuff?
RookieMage.com or on Amazon, or we're now available for pre-order for your friendly local game store. So you can let them know you want to have my games and they can start pre-ordering stuff now.
All right, perfect. So why Origins?
So I'm a member of Gamma. So like I love the organization. I love coming here. Came here before I even really got into gaming, but also I live in Columbus, so this is like the most convenient show in the world. Like I get to be here all day, and then I get to go home and sleep in my own bed. It's amazing.
I completely get it.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. And one more time, where can our listeners find you online?
That's rookiemage.com, or look for us on Amazon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We are once again live on the Origins game floor with a brand new guild member. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
My name is Jacob Jones. I'm the COO of Speedrobo Games, and we are here at Origins to show off our indie collective's many, and I mean many, awesome games, many of which have been featured in the hit Steam game TCG Card Shop Simulator.
Which I have played extensively.
Yeah, I think that game has taken up a substantial amount of both of our times.
Yeah, so a lot of people have literally just come to the booth here so they can hold one of the boxes and say, see, I'm holding the thing from the game.
Yeah.
It's great.
So tell us a little bit about these different games and what you brought with you to Origins.
Absolutely. So we have a large roundup of games, some of which are games that have been around for years, such as our most popular game, Necromancers. That is a great game that we launched on Kickstarter very successfully last year, as well as some of our other long-running titles like System Gate, our longest-running game, which is a game that has gone on for 5 years running, as well as some new titles. We have three different Kickstarters we launched at this convention, and they're all doing very well. One is for a game called Siege the King. Great little quick game you can teach to anyone in 2 minutes, perfect for the kitchen table. One is for a game called Junk World, which is a satirical combat game where you take the place of a contestant in a intergalactic game show.
Nice.
And one of them being Destiny Decide, a simple but fun battling game where you play as these characters presented on these really amazing acrylic cards.
Nice.
Do you have any big inspirations or influences for your stuff?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing for us is being independent is important. So we look to other creators who are independent, not run by large corporations. We're a do-it-all-ourselves kind of company. We do our own manufacturing, we do our own marketing, we do our own publishing, but we also are really big into supporting everyone else in the space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How might you describe your target audience?
Our target audience is basically impossible to nail down because we have so many games under different spheres. We have a game called Splatterkins, which is perfect for, I'd say, the target range of like girls like 10 to 15, whereas a game like Crash Cribbage, I'd say, is most popular with our demographics that are, 40 or over.
Good to know.
Where can people find your stuff?
Oh, SpeedroboGames.com. You can see a collection of all of our titles. Yep. Absolutely. We are also on YouTube. You can check out both the Speedrobo Games YouTube channel for our official work and the Speedrobo channel for all of our stupid opinions.
That is correct. And hello, everyone. This is Rydon Vassay, CEO of Speedrobo Games, popping at the last second. Thank you, Jacob, for covering this interview.
And thank you for becoming a guild member.
Oh, absolutely. I'm adding this to my ribbons right now. You can't see it because it's only audio, but it's happening. I promise.
That's right.
They'll tell you when it's...
He's winking at me and not doing anything. I don't know what to do.
So why Origins?
Oh, because if I can be honest,
Yeah.
Gen Con sucks.
Gen Con is awful. So I'll tell you exactly why Origins.
We're not covering Gen Con, so you can say what you want about that.
I absolutely will, and I do very publicly all the time. So back in my smaller days, I had a client that I was running support work for called Legacy's Allure, and he wanted us to go to Origins and Gen Con. And I was just like, I think both are probably a bad idea, because I've been to Gen Con before, and it was horrible. Complete waste of time and money. But I came to Origins, and I was blown away by how good it was and how friendly all the people are. And every single booth neighbor we've ever had has been a genuinely wonderful person. Alpha Clash is right next to us, and they have been nothing but kind to us every single year. We love those guys. We love everybody here. Origins Game Fair treats us right. The people are fantastic. It's the exact level of busy and big that we want to see. And that's why Origins, because it's the best con on the planet. Oh, yeah.
Could not agree with you more. Thank you both so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show, and remind our listeners one more time where they can find you online.
That will be speedrobogames.com. That's speedrobogames.com. You can also go to Kickstarter and just look up Siege the King, Junk World, or Destiny Decide, and you'll find us no problem.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are once again live at the Origins game floor with a returning guild member. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Matthew Orr of Wet Ink Games.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins?
Yeah, we've got a lot of our role-playing game stuff, and since I joined the guild last year, we've got a board game and another one on the way. The one's getting put on the boat, but the one that we have here is sci-fi hacking. Ooh. So it's the year 24 something something. Sure. You're on Titan, you're on the Venus, you're on the Belt, you're trying to steal the data from the network. It's it's not simultaneous play, but like it's you play down a card. This activates in 3 rounds. The next person plays one that activates in 2 rounds. So that's going to change the state of the board before my card goes off because it's hacking. I like to play it as like Ride the Chaos, but I usually lose. So there's probably a way to like crack the sequence of how these things can go because I don't often win, but I like to play.
Yeah.
So that's our big thing new for this show relative to last year. I think we got some more Never Going Home, our World War I horror book, 3 new books since last year. It came out later in the summer last year. And also, special for this show, limited number of Garbage and Glory, which is our game of dumpster delving. You go on raccoon adventures, and you get trash to make your equipment. You earn glory to be remembered for the ages. That's our newest in our +1 line. So that we got limited numbers of that on sale as a bundle. Get everything you need.
Yeah, I do remember last year that was the game that really jumped out to me when we were walking by. And
yeah,
it looks amazing.
We had a quick start as a free RPG day last year.
Yes.
But this is the full game right over there behind you. Feel free to take a look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, your awesome, massive art is what drew us to your booth last year, and then we just saw the name again this year, and you still have that awesome, massive art up.
That's our strategy. Pay for some good art and make a big poster of it to get people to come look at you. Look, if the cover of the book makes the people pick it up, that has done its job.
Yep, exactly.
So, do you have any big influences or inspirations you'd like to credit?
So, I am not like a historic D&D sort of player. I played 3rd edition. I played a little bit of 5e, but
you hear that? He skipped 4th.
I did skip it, although I hear it's great, and I would play it now. I just didn't happen to play it when whatever. The point is that in getting into the Garbage and Glory thing, I got to go backwards and do a lot of the Appendix N stuff that people liked in the 2nd edition, and I was like, oh, this is. I didn't realize that was going to happen as we were working on Garbage and Glory, that we were going to take some of that really old inspiration in. So the tunnels, the sewers, the kinds of monsters. So it's been kind of interesting to get into that sort of where D&D came from, but obviously we're now removed almost 100 years removed from that stuff that was written.
Right.
So I got to visit it as a little bit oh, I'm sorry. Did it make you feel old?
No, I just never thought of it that way before. But yeah, you're 100% right. Wow.
So to bring in a little bit of that flavor of the magic needs to be scarier, and the monsters need to be more unknown, and the dungeons need to feel bigger, and it all fits with a raccoon trying to navigate the modern world.
Yeah.
But I pulled some of those inspirations. So that's probably what I'm going to shout out. Just the concept of D&D, So I guess.
That's legit though. There's so much material to gain inspiration from. They've gone through so many iterations, and that's great.
How would you describe your target audience?
We aim to have a game on the table for everyone. So we got the World War I horror, but the dad is there with the little child next to them. Is I don't know if this is World War I horror, but here we have dogs and raccoons. So we aim for everybody, but anybody that's committed to indie gaming as I don't know, is it a lifestyle? But we're not going to we have some system agnostic stuff, but we're not committing to copying what the big ampersand game is doing. We want to do other things. We're always looking for holes in the market that we can put ourselves into. So that's why we have a game about dogs. Just regular dogs, not dogs wearing armor and carrying banners or whatever. It's you have no hands, you're a dog. That's the game that we're going to play. The World War I game hit at the right time when there weren't very many World War I games. So we're always looking for that new thing, the thing that we're not seeing, and that's what we want to make that game. Wonderful.
All right, and there's a lot of different game conventions out there. Why Origins?
Is conveniently located to our place of residence. It doesn't take us too long to get here, and it's just got a real friendly vibe. A lot of people I am a solidly Midwestern person. The more people I meet from the coasts, I'm I am not from the coast. I am from the Midwest. And so this con in Ohio feels very homey to me. And a lot of people come in from, a little bit from Pennsylvania, a little bit from Michigan. I'm up from Kentucky. And so it feels very much like, that's like where our strongest fan base is, I think. Right. So we can put on a lot of games at this show because of the proximity to all of the people that are into our content. So it feels good and it's not too hard to get here.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. And can you tell our listeners where they can find you online?
Sure. You can find us. We have Wet Ink Games at all the socials. So, our YouTube is Wet Ink Games. That's where I do my own interview show on there. We've got wetinkgames.com. We got Wet Ink Games on the Blue Sky and on the Instagram. You can see pictures of our faces selling these books on the Instagram and, Wet Ink Games everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are once again live on the convention's game floor with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sam Brieck. Happy to be part of the guild.
And could you tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins?
Yeah, so I brought a lot of my own personal art, archival quality giclée prints, screen prints, stickers, fantastic kind of surreal illustrations.
Do you have any influences or inspirations that you'd like to credit?
Oh man, I don't know if you have enough time for all of that, but the initial stuff, big stuff. I grew up with Calvin and Hobbes. That's a huge influence. Got me into drawing. Hayao Miyazaki, anything he does he's a huge hero of mine. Jim Henson, especially older, darker Jim Henson. Love that stuff.
Hell yeah.
Dr. Seuss, I was bathed in that as a child, basically. Yeah, those are kind of the major influences. Tolkien, grew up with Tolkien. His art, his words, I love that stuff.
Who would you describe as your target audience?
I don't know. That's a good question. I kind of just make stuff that I want and would want to see. I think maybe stuff I like to see as a kid, and I've been lucky enough that a lot of people have responded to that. So I don't know. I'm kind of selfish in that way. I just make stuff for myself.
Yeah, I'll say, even though we didn't talk to you last year, we became fans of yours last year. And then I guess just didn't even think that you would have... Were you here last year?
I was. Yeah, this is my third year here.
That's crazy. Yeah, because we went over to Wet Ink Games, and we were I was drawn over specifically by this one.
Oh, yeah.
Just that image. And I was like, we have to figure out what's going on over here. And and then this year he was like, oh, yeah, you got to go talk to him. He's the one that does our art. I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, it's been awesome working with Wet Ink Games. I met them my first year here at Origins, and just super. The project I got to work on them, Garbage and Glory. It's been just an incredible world to get to make and get to live in.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I felt I haven't even got to play it yet, and I'm in love with the world just based off of your art. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah, thanks so much. You can find me online. My website, brickdraw.com. That's BRIECK draw.com. My portfolio's on there. I sell stuff online too. And you can find all my stuff there. And at brickdraw on Instagram too, if you do that as well.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you.
We're once again live here on the Origins game floor with a returning guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Cici of Cici Cosplays.
Yay. And what brings you to Origins Game Fair?
You guys, actually. I was here to say hi. I was kind of stateside in Kentucky to visit family for the past week. Heard from you guys that Origins was happening, and I was trying to figure out my schedule, see if I could at least check in and say a quick hi. This is also my first time at Origins, so we've been keeping it pretty chill. We've just been wandering around. We went to a panel or two, had some overpriced chicken tenders for lunch. But overall, it's been a really incredible experience.
Awesome. Have you had a favorite part of Origins so far?
So I went to visit the Crooked Moon booth with Andy and Mace. I can't remember their last name because they are part of the Avantress group, and that is my girlfriend's favorite D&D podcast. That's kind of what's really introduced her into the D&D tabletop world, is their live play podcast. So I wanted to say hi. I got a free pin for signing up for their newsletter, which will go to her. I got a picture to show her to make her jealous. And I also showed off the Bitsy plushie that I had made for her.
How did that go over?
So Mace was talking to other people, so it really only got seen by Andy. But either way, they were very impressed, and I was very proud of my work. I got to gloat a little bit about it. But they were super cool dudes, very chill, and we got to talk to some of the artists in the artist alcove as well. My parents bought a couple of books based off of the panel that we went to,
Nice.
the intersection of games and novels, and that was a really interesting experience.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We hope you've had an awesome show, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you guys as well. Happy con.
Oh, and where can the rest of the listeners find you online?
I am on Instagram and TikTok at Cici Cosplays, CICI Cosplays plural. My account is private due to my job, but you should see my icon is as my Gajinka of Mew from Pokemon.
We are live on the Origins game floor with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Aaron Smith.
And could you tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins?
Yeah, I brought Sea Beast. This is our first game for Littlest Lantern. Sea Beast is like a Vikings versus monsters game where as you're hacking away at the beast, you're drawing their blood, getting used as blood rage, and you're desperately sailing across to try and deliver your crates to your starving tribes.
Yeah, we got to talk to you a little bit at the early media event, and I had to say, as you were describing your games, I watched my podcast partner's eyes slowly grow to the size of a saucer as you were describing one of his dream games.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. Yeah, that's one of the reasons we went with this one first, was because everybody loves being Viking, everybody loves slaying monsters, so yeah.
Do you have any inspirations you'd like to credit?
Oh man, I mean, I started with D&D, doing a homebrew D&D kind of experience, and I just had tons of fun with like the world building aspect of it. But I wanted to make something in kind of more of like something you could play solo, but still have that thematic like world to be in. So that's kind of what kind of drew me to designing this in the first place. So that was a huge inspiration. But just thematically too, is just chaos versus building, trying to sustain like goodness, and that's kind of the core of this game, is just the chaos versus, I guess, creation of like what man is trying to create versus what nature's trying to destroy from them. I don't know.
How would you describe your target audience?
Oh man, it's kind of all over the place. Like I mean, I started playing with some families, and even my son, like my 6-year-old son, will play with me. So it's easy to bring new gamers into it. But also, there's a lot of hobby gamers that love D&D or these other big thematic boss battlers that just want something more bite-sized. They could bring it out, play 15 minutes to an hour, get a really solid experience, or they had a huge campaign they can dive into too.
I don't know how to break this to you, but your game is for 14 and up, so
Yeah,
I'm calling the police.
I know. That's all right. He's accompanied. Yeah.
Speaking of target audiences, we have a couple people here demoing the game right now. Could you tell us a little bit about what drew you to the game and what you like about it so far?
Or you can introduce yourself first and then tell us.
Hi, I'm Zach. Aaron's been teaching us. It's pretty easy to pick up, even for people who don't understand anything. It's kaiju and Vikings and resource management. It's pretty on point.
That hits a lot of notches.
Yeah.
So, I'm Tim, the other guy who's teaching. The quality of the little figures and meeples, and I mean, it's a very attractive game from a distance, and it's very enjoyable to sit down and play what we have so far. We've managed to kill some beasties, and so far nobody's died horribly, but we'll see how that goes.
So thank you so very much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can our listeners find you online, and where can they get your game?
Yeah, they can find us at Littlest Lantern on Instagram. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're once again live on the Origins game floor with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Casey Anderson.
And what did you bring with you to Origins?
So I'm promoting my card game Food Gods. It's kind of like a combination of Pokemon and Magic, but with funny food creatures, lots of puns, and you pretty much just fight each other with them.
I'll say that the thing that immediately jumped out to me is, I'll say every time I go into work, I take a Monster Energy drink, a bag of chips, and a Slim Jim, and a dude that works down the hall or down the cubicle from me says, "Oh, it's a breakfast of champions."
Breakfast of
champions. And all I saw was that champion of breakfast.
Champion of breakfast.
I was like, I love that play on words.
Thank you. Yeah, because he's kind of like the demigod. He is the champion of breakfast. He's got a giant chicken club, so chicken and waffles.
I would definitely, I would have a hard time taking on that breakfast.
What type of game is it?
It's a TCG. Right now, I only have the first 2 decks. I'm working on booster packs, and the next 2 decks are going to be a different faction or food group every deck that's released. Nice. And then the booster packs will be just kind of a mixture of everything.
Are there any influences or inspirations that you would like to credit?
Just weird 90s creatures and art and 80s nostalgia, but also, with Pokemon and Magic, just the artwork and everything, just kind of put in a blender, No one specific thing that I can think of.
Okay. How would you describe your target audience?
I'd say 10 and up. I've had all age ranges play this, and it's pretty easy to start. It's not too complicated. Once you kind of get the hang of it, it's easy to catch on instead of like something that's complicated you need multiple weeks to kind of get the hang of. So I'd say it's pretty user-friendly.
Sure. So there's a lot of different gaming conventions. Why Origins?
First of all, Columbus. Lived here for like 7 years. So I'm somewhat local, but, just had to come back. And I came here during the 25th anniversary when I was a kid.
Nice.
And I saw that it was the 50th anniversary. I was like, man, I gotta get this done by then. So I started working on it in January and finished it just before this convention. So
50th anniversary is a good inspiration, good motivation to get it in under a deadline.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. We hope you have an awesome show. Where can people pick this up, and where can they find you online?
So right now, I'm just printing it through the Game Crafter. Also, I have Instagram. It's just Waffle Boy Art, and you can check out all my stuff there.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
We are once again live on the Origins game floor in the exhibit hall with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Nicholas Smith. I am the co-designer of the Magical Land of Yeld.
And tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
Well, the Magical Land of Yeld is an all-ages tabletop role-playing game. It is about a group of children from our world who discover a door to a magical land, and as they explore and they have a good time there, eventually they will try and go home and they'll find that that door has been shut, locked tight, and 7 magical keys are required to open it again. So these kids are going to have to start growing up, giving up parts of their childhood, and becoming heroes, taking on heroic jobs in order to find these keys and get home. But unfortunately, if they turn 13 in this land, they're going to become monsters and they're going to be trapped forever. So the game is a game about exploration. It's a race against time. It's about friendship and growing up in a world where your parents aren't with you and you become a person all on your own. It uses a unique system. It's a very simple system because it's all ages. We feel that up front, the game needs to be simple, but in the back end, it can be a little more complicated for people to really get into it once they've got a handle on it. It uses a beautiful action board, which is an 8x8 grid. Very simply just a chessboard for combat. We're big believers in having accessible components for the game. It just uses a chessboard. It just uses D6 dice. So if you got Yahtzee at home or something like that, you got everything you need.
Do you have any influences or inspirations that you'd like to credit?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we are hugely influenced, me and my brother who write the game, by video games specifically. We grew up playing video games together. Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy Tactics, stuff like that is the bread and butter, the kind of feel that we're looking for. We are huge fans of it, and so you'll even see that in our combat specifically. It's very much Final Fantasy Tactics driven.
How would you describe your target audience?
We feel like families are a good audience for us. We know a lot of people who have kids, and they're at the table with us, and so they should be playing with us, right? They give them a character. They can participate just as easy as anybody else. So families are a great target audience.
There's a lot of game conventions out there. Why Origins?
Origins, this is our first time at Origins. It's a big show. We've always wanted to come over to the East Coast to do this. We're from the West Coast. This is an exciting event for us. We've had smaller games in the past, but this is the first time we've brought a really large and exciting project to a convention this size. And we've heard nothing but good things about Origins. Everybody says it's the best show, and everybody here is just so fun. So super excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can people pick up your game, and where can they find you online?
So you can find our game at IPR, no problem. That's Indie Press Revolution. We also sell it on our website, which is yeldstuff.com. You can find everything we do there. We have very affordably priced PDFs if you cannot afford physical books. Very easy to access. We have a beautiful community on Discord as well, and they are more than happy to help you on any questions you have.
Awesome.
Awesome.
We are live here at Origins in the exhibit hall with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Ian Muller. I am the CEO of Gehenna Gaming. We're a horror events and publishing company, and we're here showing off our upcoming game, Eldritch Automata, and some of our partners' games.
And what have you brought with you to Origins?
So Eldritch Automata is a action cosmic horror mech game, so inspired by like Pacific Rim, Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's designed to, as a more narrative gameplay with focus on the psychological horror of having to pilot these skyscraper-sized machines to fight off the end of the world. We kickstarted it last year and raised a good amount of money, and we are almost ready to go to print now, having finished most of the writing, art, and moving into layout and editing. And yeah, we're just showing off the game and some of the additional products and partnerships that we have with it, as well as some of the other games we run at the events that we do.
Are there any influences or inspirations that you'd like to credit?
I mean, Neon Genesis Evangelion and Pacific Rim for sure, but also Razafon, which is a lesser-known mecha anime, which is a really cool one. Also, honestly, Berserk. A lot of people don't associate Berserk with the type of stuff we do, but the type of world building and monster design in the manga and anime were really influential on how we designed our game.
How would you describe your target audience?
Anyone who loves horror is our target audience, essentially. Specifically with Eldritch Automata, also anime nerds like myself, but horror fans in general, because we do a wide variety of horror, not just like the epic scale of a mech game.
Are there any other products that you have that you guys want to promote?
Sure, we have a ton of products with our partners, because we also run organized play and run bespoke horror events. So we work closely with the crew behind World of Darkness, so Vampire the Masquerade. We have a bunch of those books. We work with Studio Hermitage to promote Our Brilliant Ruin, which is a great new game. Storytellers Forge with their fantasy what happens when your party dies scenario book, as well as Liminal Horror and the folks at Hunters Entertainment and the folks at Hedron, which is a fantastic VTT designed around homebrewing and world building.
And there's a lot of gaming conventions out there. Why Origins?
So this is actually our first time at Origins, and definitely getting the lay of the land here and deciding like what type of show it is for us. We're having a great time though, and definitely looking forward to coming back with more of our GM roster to run a lot of great horror games here.
Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can people pick up your stuff, and where can they find you online?
Head over to gehennagaming.com, GEHENNA Gaming. You can find all of our stuff there. We have a Discord community with about 1,000 members. We run games at conventions all across North America and starting to branch over into Europe. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are live again here at the exhibit hall with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Varun. I am the creator of Hedron and also now upcoming tabletop game Call to Power.
And what have you brought with you to Origins?
As I said, Hedron is a complete virtual tabletop and homebrewing platform. We offer it all. When I say all, I mean literally all of it, from virtual tabletop to homebrew management, content creation, and a marketplace for you to monetize your creations. We do a 90-10 non-exclusive split, so that's one of the best on the market. Not to mention we're doing things very different from other BGTs. There's way too many things to go into, but I'll say we have complete 3D battle grids. And when I say 3D, I don't mean simulated 3D. I mean Unreal Engine level lighting simulated 3D running on 144 FPS on potatoes. At the same time, we've also got Call to Power, which is the RPG I've been running for 7 years. Same campaign, mind you, meeting weekly. Thank God for that one. Right. But it is a true high dark fantasy. It starts really at level 20, and it's all about the prices we'll pay for power itself.
Nice. What would you say are your inspirations and influences?
For Call to Power, it's Jujutsu Kaisen meets Dark Souls. So proper, like, you're willing to pay the prices. We almost have the Heavenly Vow system in the game itself. It's all about power and just really desperately climbing your way up to it. Both Dark Souls and JJK really have that strong emphasis on it. So,
how would you describe your target audience?
I'll say the target audience for Call to Power are people who have been playing D20 games and kind of like them for being D20 games, but also don't like the way 5e took 3.5. So the way we kind of talk about it is it's a 3.5 game with the customization and personalization and character options, but we've trimmed out all the fat. We've reworked some of the innards to bring modern gaming into it that creates a much smoother experience. Players who play it at cons say it's simpler than 5e, but more customizable than 3.5. So that kind of really gives you an emphasis of like what we were going for there.
Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of gaming conventions out there. Why Origins?
Origins is a really cool opportunity for me as a Hedron manager, right? As in, I created Hedron. I'm here to meet publishers, meet creators who have really never had the opportunity to be on virtual tabletops. I mean, I've been in this industry long enough to see every single crowdfunding has that 20K stretch goal for we go to Alchemy or we go to Roll20.
Right.
And I'm like, that's nuts. We live in the 21st century, y'all. Let's actually make it easy. And as a Hedron, that's my mission here, is to go find publishers who really never got to have that digital voice and be like, here's my card, let's make it happen. We turn around things in a week and a half. We have games that no one's heard of fully automated on our platform within the week. Speaking of which, we just met one last week at UK Games Expo, and we're like halfway done with it. It's a Venice-inspired dark fantasy, Serenimisa Obscura, actively kickstarting right now. This is kind of the emphasis of what I'm talking about. Like, no one had heard of them in the United States. Here I am talking about them, giving them a voice, and automating them in like a week or less, right? That's my mission.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. If somebody wants to find your stuff or find you online, where can they do that?
Booth 737 if you find us at Origins. If you don't, projecthedron.com or Hedron on like every single platform, basically. You will find us. I also have a Discord, discord.gg/Hedron. You will DM me. When you go in that server, I will be the one that says, welcome to the server.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're live here at the Origins exhibit hall with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Stephen Kelly, and I'm here with my wife, Roach.
Hi, how are you?
And we are 13th Moon Games, and we are here to talk about our game, Covenant Crucible.
All right, tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
Covenant Crucible, we brought our TTRPG. It's a family-run business, 13 Moon Games is. But Covenant Crucible is a TTRPG of modern-day magic and witchcraft. Essentially, magic is real in the world, kind of like an urban fantasy type of thing. Magic is real just like any other skill, like plumbing or programming. Everybody knows it exists. Not everybody can do it. But I kind of like akin it to if the John Wick movie and the Last Witch Hunter movie got together and had a really pretty baby, it would be this game. Nice. So I wrote the mechanics. It's a unique 2D12 mechanics system. My wife, Roach, did the lore, and our daughter did all the art, and our son helps run the Discord, so it's a family-run business.
What would you say are your inspirations and influences?
Well, John Wick, The Last Witch Hunter. Also, my wife and I met at a World of Darkness LARP, so that's kind of, you can see there's some kind of influences there. And the core rulebook is set in Chicago, so that's where we were for a while, so that's kind of influenced that. The Unbound expansion, that's kind of broadens everything up. And we have a new expansion coming out next month called Beyond, which lets you play vampires, werewolves, ghosts, things like that.
So cool. How would you describe your target audience?
People who really want to play Magic, something like with Magic, or getting involved with free flow Magic, whereas no spell slots, no running out of spell slots or energy or anything like that. It's all Magic is one of those things where you can learn a special kind, or you can just focus on all different kinds. There's divination, alchemy, forging, summoning, hexing, warding, all that good stuff. But the people who really want to work as a team, because you work as a circle of witches, it's a collaborative storytelling game with enough crunch to make the combat cinematic. So that's kind of the target audience, people who really like the John Wick movies, people have said, is it like Mage Ascension? Not really, but sort of. So things like that.
All right, perfect. There are a lot of gaming conventions out there. Why Origins?
This is our first big convention. Origins we've wanted to get into a big convention. We've done smaller conventions. Origins, so far, the people have been phenomenal. Like, I'm talking to everybody, I'm fanboying about everybody, and going to talking to different booths. It's just this huge gathering of so many like-minded individuals. I love it, and that's why we're here. Our first time ever.
Could not agree with you more. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can people find your stuff, and where can they find you online?
13thmoongames.com is our website, and we're going to have a link there to our Discord. That's our social media outlet, because people want to ask about the game. They can hop on our Discord and ask questions about it. They have access to it. I run a game twice a month of Covenant Crucible on that Discord channel.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We are once again live in the Origins exhibit hall with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Julie from Distant Rabbit Games.
And tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
So we brought a new game, and we are also promoting an upcoming game. So our current game is Mantis Falls. It is a 2 to 3 player hidden role game in which you play a witness to something you should not have seen in a mob ruled town. So you got to escape the town with your information in your life, but it is too dangerous to make it alone. Fortunately, though, you will not be alone. You are accompanied by a stranger who claims to be a witness just like you. And if that person is telling the truth, then it's a fully cooperative game. You've got to get out of town together and alive. One person dies, the other one loses as well. So You have to be willing to use your last healing to help your friend. You're going to have to be willing to tell them when you're about to die so that they can hopefully come and save you. And generally use all this combo-driven tactical card play to defeat events and get across obstacles and ambushes. But there's a 50-50 chance that what you're with is a liar who is an assassin here to kill you. And if that's the case, then it is a fully competitive game. You no longer need to escape. You have to kill the other player before they kill you. So as a witness, you do not know whether it is a game where you have to kill the person across from you or a game where you have to save the person across from you. If you're an assassin, you do know, but you are prevented from attacking right away because every player starts the game with this very powerful call and a hit card that can do an enormous amount of damage, but can only be used by a witness near a phone. So as long as you are near a phone, you are protected, and that assassin is going to seem oh so generous and kind. But as the road gets revealed out in front of the both of you, at some point you will be forced to step away from a phone, and that will be their moment to strike. So their hope is they're playing a waiting game, and they're hoping that they have their hand set up to kill you faster and better than you can kill them back when the time comes. So that's our first game, and then the game that we are promoting that's coming out on Kickstarter next spring is Below the Falls, and this is our return to Mantis Falls. You are coming back as one of the allies, the resistance faction against the mob force in this town. And you guys are traveling through the town trying to find a missing one of your own, an ally who has gone missing. And it's a race to find this person. It's this deductive, prevailing mystery. Whoever finds this person first can either take them to safety or take them hostage. So at the same time that you are trying to solve the deductive mystery, you are trying to destroy the puzzle for anyone who comes behind you, because it's a race to the finish on that one. So, yeah.
What would you say are your influences and inspirations?
Gosh, Twin Peaks was a pretty big one. We listened to the album pretty much nonstop when we were playtesting the game. Personally, I've always loved any of the Inception, Tenet. I love a lot of those sort of movies where there's something deeper going on and it's a little bit of a brain puzzle. That's kind of how this is. There's a lot of puzzliness to the combo aspect of it. So yeah. Those are them.
And we're audio only, so I also just need to comment, your aesthetic is just really striking.
Thank you. My husband does the game design and I do the art, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that a lot. So how would you describe your target audience?
Couples who don't mind getting a little mean with each other, usually, because
Nice.
we're the only 2-player hidden role game. For a long time, people thought it couldn't be done. So if it's not me, it's you. And
Right.
That's not hidden role, that's just competitive. And so when my husband figured out the idea of what if instead of who is the traitor in the room, what if it was, are you a traitor? It feels exactly the same. And so we tend to do really well with people who are in couples who don't usually get a chance to play hidden role games unless they have more people over. Usually couples that have young kids who can't get out to bigger group games, people who like deeper strategy hidden role games, so fans of Battlestar Galactica and Dead of Winter, less like the Werewolf Mafia, but people who enjoy those tend to also enjoy this as well. So
Yeah, some of my favorite games are Dead of Winter, Shadows over Camelot, Betrayal.
You will like this game.
This is my type of game right here.
I'll say that pretty much any game that has a possible hidden traitor is my favorite until I'm not the hidden traitor.
Yeah.
Then I don't like it.
So one of the big differences between this one and a lot of those is that when you're going to betray somebody, there's a little bit of this in Nemesis, just a bit, but when you're going to betray somebody, usually you're betraying the mission, right? You're going to vote against the mission, or you're going to sabotage the food, or you're going to make sure you go to Mars instead of Earth, or something like that, right? In this one, if you're going to betray the other person, you're going to have to kill them, and you're going to have to kill them better than they can kill you. And so it's more of a direct, that betrayal feels keen and powerful. And then there's also, the fun thing is that there's also the risk, because there's a sometimes cooperative element, you can both be witnesses. You can also get in a situation where 2 witnesses just can't seem to find the trust and end up killing each other in the street because, they each think the other one is the assassin. So yeah, it's definitely has a lot of deep tension, but also deep strategy.
So there are a lot of gaming conventions out there. Why Origins?
Yeah, so I'm actually a Gamma member. I'm also I'm the head of sustainability for Gamma. So we're a carbon neutral company and just really love the work that Gamma as an organization does. This is their customer facing show. I really like to support people in the industry who are working together collaboratively. I think it's one of the kind of beautiful meta games that we play within the industry is that, you play games and you collaborate and you win together. And this is an industry where when game companies and media people and when we all play games together on a larger scale, like how to overcome tough political times, when we actually play that collaboratively and cooperatively, we all win together as well. So I like supporting Gamma. I like supporting anything where people are all kind of coming together, gamers and game creators alike. So that's why Origins, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't brought this up yet this show, but I do want to take a minute to say that like this season of Casters Guild, this is our 6th season of Casters Guild, and this season we've done a lot of talking about the tariffs and like everything that's going through, and we're like, how does tabletop gaming survive in this current climate? And like I was like, maybe we'll find out when we go to Origins, because like if any community can figure it out, it's the community that we saw at Origins. And so far talking to people has me full of hope for like this industry.
We are already the most organized and the most collaborative industry because there's so little competition between us. People buy a lot of games, right? And they buy a lot of different types of games. And generally what we mostly want is just to create more gamers, right? We're not really trying to like fight each other for market share as much as we are trying to build the market overall. And so because there's that collaborative energy, we're able to get a lot done. And so there's actually a Discord where a bunch of us publishers are on talking about, who can we call, who can we, which representatives can we call? There's a bunch of people who just went to Washington to lobby directly. Some people from the Tabletop Game Designers Association, some people from Gamma. We have people who are filing lawsuits collectively in order to get the tariffs taken down, especially for small businesses, for games. And so there has been just an absolutely enormous amount of work, but also kind of the messaging, getting the message out that tariffs hurt consumers, hurt small businesses. It's not a tax on another country, it's a tax on us. That has been a really big part of it. And so having all of us sort of collectively be on the same page about how to talk about that with consumers, it's a really big part of it.
Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. If somebody wants to find your stuff, where can they do that, and where can they find you online?
Yeah, so we are on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we have, email, Discord, all of the things. If you look for Distant Rabbit or Distant Rabbit Games, you'll find us. Yeah, and we're very responsive everywhere we go. So if you got questions or if you want to reach out to us for some reason, glad to talk.
And where can they pick up your games?
From our website, distantrabbitgames.com. That's the best one. From, Origins, you can just come to my booth and grab one. We're also in a lot of indie game stores. So if you have an indie game store near you, it's possible that they are carrying us. If they're not, you can tell them to. We're also at Barnes & Noble and in some online retailers as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are here at Origins Game Fair with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Hahn. I'm a co-designer of a game that I'm excited to tell you about a little bit later, but excited to be here. And thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
So I brought one of the first games that my publishing company, Grod Games, is releasing. It's called Estate Raise the Realm. It's a medieval fantasy themed worker placement game where you're taking on the role of a medieval noble who's working to rebuild their estate after a great war has. In the game, each leader is asymmetric in terms of their tableau that they're building out. They also have a special ability and a starting set of cards in play in their estate. And so every time you play the game, it's going to be a little bit different based on who you're playing. Each leader has a little bit of a different strategy you can take, but there's also just a ton of lots of replayability baked into the base game itself. We have air events that trigger each round, and they impact everyone positively or negatively. We also have variable action spaces on the game board, and with over 50 unique cards in the deck, there's just a ton of different variants you get each gameplay. But for the amount of strategy baked in, it still plays very fast. So it's about 20 minutes per player, 1 to 5 people. And we are still accepting some late pledges through the end of the month of June. So we were on Kickstarter last year and we're working to fulfill the game. We actually have our first pre-production copy here at Origins. So we're very excited to be showcasing that off.
Now, we saw you at the early media event. I believe you told us you had a couple other games coming on down the line that was going to be a trilogy. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, this is our first game as a publishing company, and our vision as a publishing company is we really want to do a trilogy of games in the world of Estate. So this game is game 1, Estate Raise the Realm. It's taking place after the Great War in the world has ended. So you're working to rebuild. Game 2 is going to go back in time and use the same leaders that we have in game 1, but you're actually in the war and you're working to see who's going to be in alliance and who's going to ultimately lead the outcome of the war. So you get to rewrite history a little bit. And then game 3 is a little bit further down the line, but that is going to be in the future. And it's going to be a co-op style game where you're just exploring the world of a state together. So as with all of these games, we're really trying to build in a lot of lore and world building. So on game 1, Estate Raise the Realm, each character actually has a backside on their player mat that has a little bit of a narrative about who they are and how they got to where they are in the world state. And then potentially we'll be doing some little like short stories, etc. That's like a dream goal we have. But right now we're kind of laser focused on delivering the first game and then getting started on game.
Could you tell us a little bit about any inspirations?
Yeah, I'll talk about it from mechanics first. So our game was a little bit of a passion project during the pandemic. We had played all the games in our game library too many times, as I'm sure a lot of people have experience with. And we said, like, why don't we start mashing together some of our favorite mechanics and see where that goes. So my co-creator is actually my husband, Devin, and we started just throwing together like anything you can think of. So like a couple of our favorite games are Everdell, Agricola, and Wingspan, which is, I think, a good representation of the current version of the game. But we had elements of Scythe with like ground control and like territory management. And then we also had elements of diplomacy with voting and politics. And it was a little bit of like a let's throw everything in and see what works. And then really over the last 5 years, as we've been playtesting this, it's been what has made people have a lot of fun. Like, what are the dopamine hits you get when you play? And then almost like an onion, like peeling back the layers to really make a tight game that is not too intimidating, but has people like wanting to come back again and play and try to beat their score or play as a different leader. And so that's, I think, the mechanic aspect of it. I will say Devin is a little bit more on like the world building, and he's a little bit more into like D&D and all that. And so I think that's where the elements of just like building a world of a game sphere and trying to build multiple games in that. So that's a little bit about things.
Yeah, I will say that I find myself, like, especially with like board games and stuff, I enjoy those board games that like pump lore into. So like I love Red Dragon Inn. And it's like, you can look at that game and just be like, oh, it's just silly fun. But there's a lot of lore that goes into that with all those characters and stuff. So I really appreciate, especially the out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to mess around with.
Yeah, and I think that seeing people when they're playing the game like get into character a little bit. So like we have a warlord and they start off with the assassin and they're like, they use the assassin a lot. They're like, oh, I'm assassinating this citizen. I know that sounds violent, but like it's just like they're getting into that character. And then like we have a trade queen and they start with the merchant, and that merchant lets them use other people's resources in the game, like basically producing on other people's estates. And so it's like thematically they're trading with that estate. It's just, I think that makes it like more fun in a way versus like, oh, I'm just playing a game mechanically, like trying to get the most points. Sure, I think we all want to win, but I think it's more fun when you have a little bit more of that lore.
Yeah.
How would you describe your target audience?
I think we would describe our target audience as people who like playing strategy games, who like having a lot of replayability in a game. So being able to play it again and again, and it's always going to be a little different. And I also think, to what we just talked about, like people who are interested in like a lore and kind of a world building experience. And the other aspect is like trying to bridge the gap of, some people really like strategy games, and it's those games that maybe 3-4 hours when you play it. It's tough to always find that time with your friends or your group. And when you do, it's like a big commitment to like, oh, we're going to go play, throwing out Scythe or Terraforming Mars, right? Like those are games that I love playing, but it's not always easy to find the time to play them. So we're trying to, I think, bridge the gap of like, you can still play our game, 60 minutes for 4 players. It's 20 minutes per player. That's great. You can fit in maybe a couple other games that are quick, but it's not going to take up your whole game night, yet it still gets that itch of like, I'm playing a good strategy and getting to use my brain and like trying to exercise, like, what's the best way to win? How can I outsmart my opponents?
So there are a lot of game conventions out there. Why Origins?
We love Origins. We were first-time attendees and exhibitors last year at Origins, and we have been to PAX Unplugged quite a bit as growing up in the New Jersey area. That's kind of like a home convention for us. But I feel like Origins, the amount of games we got to play last year was amazing, even as exhibitors.
Yeah.
Like just the free play area is amazing, the library is amazing, and like the community was also amazing. And coming back now for a second year, the amount of faces that we're seeing, and we're recognizing people and all that. So very excited to be here for the 50th anniversary too. So it's a big milestone. But yeah, I think it's one of the best ones in the country, if not the best. Just check it out if you haven't come before.
So thank you so much for your time, and we hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can people pick up your stuff, and where can they find you online?
Yeah, you can find us at our website, grodgames.com, Grod games.com. We're also on Instagram at Estate Raise the Realm, and we are still doing late pledges from our Kickstarter campaign through the end of June. So I know that's probably tight timing for whenever you're releasing the podcast. Afterwards, you can still purchase the game in the fall once we release it, and that'll be on our website.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are here at Origins Game Fair with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name's Elliot Hedrick, or within Amtgard, you'll know me as Bethan Ainsley the Black, as I do run one of the live-action role plays here at Origins that we have different names for.
So speaking of which, tell us a little bit about what you're doing here at Origins.
Yeah. So like I said, I run the Amtgard room here with a group called the Silver Host. We've been running this room for 17, 18 years, something like that now. And what we do is we come out, we get to hit each other with foam weapons primarily. That's the initial draw, at least when you see the room. But we also offer chainmail making classes, leather badge holders. We're doing chainmail dice bags, and leather dice trays this year as well. So lots of arts and sciences, as well as, like I said, getting to hit each other with foam weapons.
This is definitely something that I've been interested in for years. Granted, I'm 46 years old and my body tells me it's not a great idea. But, I mean, I also know people who are my age who do this stuff. But it's always interesting. Fun. Okay. So I have to throw this out there. So we did a little thing on the show about LARPing.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life that I've ever known LARPing, right? I always thought that the vampire Mind's Eye Theater stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was like, that is what I know as LARP. And that in my head, it was like, it makes sense that this came first. And then it evolved into people got props and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was flabbergasted to find out that it wasn't. It is this style LARP, like with the boffer weapons, or even just the steel weapons with like SCA stuff.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah. So it was fun to find out a little bit of history to LARP in general.
Yeah. It's Amtgard's definitely one of the more boffer. We're more of a medium hit LARP. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but for those of us old enough to remember the movie Role Models, there's some similarities there. Oddly enough, the maker of the swords for that movie, I have a shield from them. That company doesn't exist anymore. It's a very similar weapon set, mm-hmm. but the movie gets some things right and some things very wrong. But that's how that goes with every LARP. And yeah, we do have the full immersion LARPs and stuff. And then you have stuff like you said, like with SCA, where it's a little bit more historical. You're going to be working with either rattan or steel weapons, that sort of thing. We do stick with foam. We pad the weapons instead of the bodies. Now, I happen to be somebody that likes to also pad my body, so sure. I do run around in full plate mail on occasion, just because it's fun.
Right.
It's not a requirement. Oddly enough that you mentioned SCA, though, is Amtgard itself split off from the SCA in like the 1980s, somewhere in there. Because, as one of my friends said, all this historical stuff is fun, but I want to fight more elves. Sure. So they made more of a generic fantasy, which is what Amtgard is. We're part of Amtgardia. It's a international game. We have chapters in every single state within the U.S. We also have a kingdom up in Canada. I believe we have one down in Mexico and a couple over the seas. And on and off, somebody plants a flag in Antarctica. So
that's fair.
we do get members out there even on occasion.
So if someone is looking to get into this sort of thing and is coming to Origin,
mm-hmm.
what kind of things can they look forward to? What should they be doing?
So specifically, if you're coming out to like Origins and looking for us, just listen for the people that are screaming and having fun and hearing the sound of foam hitting things. You will be drawn right to us. The things that you should be looking for, though, other than that, is, like I said, the arts and sciences. I happen to lean very heavily on the class side of things. I really enjoy that. So look in the programs for, come make a LARP weapon or, chainmail dice bag or any of those that I mentioned earlier. they're all done by they're all in the program as the Rising Winds, which is the kingdom that we are within. It's about a 4 or 5 state area around us. And then, like I said, we're Silver Host, which is the specific household that works this particular one. We also are at Gen Con and a couple of other smaller conventions around this area, and that adjusts year to year where we are. But yeah, just come out. You don't have to bring anything with you other than a good attitude and a willingness to learn. We supply all the weaponry. We have referees, or we call them reeves, on the field at all times of more experienced players, so we try to keep it as safe as possible. I say that because it is still, we're swinging sticks at each other, so accidents do on occasion happen, but it's very uncommon, thankfully. Everybody here has been absolutely phenomenal every year I've run it. This is my 4th year running the room. And, we've had little issues here and there, but everybody in the Columbus area has just been phenomenal and that fly in. We've never had a major issue here, which is great.
When, how, why did you start LARPing?
Oh, so oddly enough, I had seen a couple people with foam weapons at a local park. I was up in the Cleveland area at the time, and I was like, hey, that looks really cool. And I just showed up. I went, hey, what is this? And they went, oh, well, we're playing. It was a different game. That's not a very well-known one anymore. It's kind of had its heyday. It might come back some year. I don't know. As with many, many game systems, you have your ebbs and flows. So I played that for a few years. I actually wound up getting injured and couldn't fight anymore. And then in college and just after college, I got introduced to Amtgard through a friend. And I was like, oh, yeah, I would love to, but I can't fight anymore. And they're like, well, we have all these arts and sciences, and we have these opportunities to do service and leadership and all that. I went, oh, that sounds cool. It's more than just fighting. So I started to get involved with that and like learning leatherworking. And I tend to do a lot of service. I volunteer for everything I can. And yes, I do fight again now because I've gotten better and I've built my skills back up. But the big draw for me wasn't the fighting, which is one of the things that makes Amtgard so much fun, in my opinion, is if you're not a fighter, you still have a play. You want to come to one of our, 4 or 5 day events and just sit there and make stuff and work with other people that make stuff. Great, do it. We have award ladders for all sorts of different, and a lot of it does revolve around the arts and sciences.
How would you describe your target audience?
Anyone. There's a place for just about anybody here. We try to be a very inclusive environment. We love learning something new. There's very few people that I've met and I've been like, I don't know if you're a good fit. Almost everybody is. Of course, people of like mind, the more nerdier people and things like that, and I say that with all the love in my heart. Definitely interact super well here. Interestingly enough, we get a lot of people that are a little bit more socially awkward. Okay, they found their group of people. Hey, this is somebody that thinks that going and fighting elves and dwarves is fun. Let's go do this. But then we have some of the people that, their intention is just to come and fight. Like, they don't care about the fantasy part of it. I'm a human. I have a sword. I'm going to go beat that person. And that's what they do. And they do tournaments, and some great people and phenomenal fighters, but they're not going to do the role-playing side. And then we have other people that don't fight but do phenomenal role-play, and everybody has a place, and our events cater to that. So everybody has something to do at almost all times.
And I will say, especially from personal experience, it's real easy to fall into that mindset that this is just for people who want to fight. This is just for people who want to do stuff. So it's really cool knowing that there are many, many other aspects to the hobby.
Yeah, perfect example of that is my partner. She does not fight at all. Mm-hmm. I tried to get her to because I wanted to fight at home. She does photography. She does crochet. It would be a great way to settle arguments, in my opinion.
Sure.
No, but she does photography. She does crochet work. She runs the Role Play Tavern here after hours.
Oh, that's cool.
And she has received some very high-level awards for that now. We do have a class thing, healer, warrior, monk, druid, all those. One of them is called color. Those are for our non-combatants. Mm-hmm. And she has obtained what's called a paragon in that, mm-hmm. which is more or less a masterhood. Hey, you are one of the best in our area for this.
That's awesome.
So she still gets those recognitions, things like that. And just recently served as our head of arts and sciences for the King. So it's really neat to see, like you said, with that.
Yeah.
If anybody has ever seen LARP before and just been interested by it, but for some reason they're hesitant, they're like, maybe this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. What would you tell them to change their mind?
Honestly, come and take a look. And I will agree, it's not for everybody. I've absolutely had people come out and go, this is interesting. What is this? And after a day or two, they're like, okay. But, come out and try it, though. If you're worried about it, trust me when I tell you, every single person that's come up to us at some point was nervous and like, I don't know if I want to talk with these people. This is weird. They're out here in leather in the middle of 90 degrees. They must be insane. But just come meet us, talk with us, find us in an event like this, like Origins, or we're at a lot of different anime cons and stuff like that too, and Gen Con. And even if it's not Amtgard specifically, there's other groups LARPs out there. Come and talk to us. We're really inviting, and we always want to get more people around because the last thing we want is an empty fighting field or an empty arts and science classroom.
Right. Speaking of which, being out here, as an organization, why come to Origin?
So I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know why we originally started at Origins. We've been here, like I said, about 17, 18 years now. To my best of my knowledge is Blackfire Pass, which is our local park, found out about Origins and had already been working here. Some people volunteer and a lot of us just come to attend and realized that there was a space for this. And there was other LARPs here at the time too, and started getting in contact with Gamma. We're like, hey, can we be here too? And we were out in the one of the president's years. We were out in Hayes. And then it was actually like just post-COVID that they're like, hey, let's move you down to like one of the main rooms because we had started to get more and more popularity. And whereas, like I said, I can't tell you for sure that's how it started. I'm pretty sure it is. I started coming here in 2017, and what kept us coming back to Origins is just the number of amazing people here. And I've legitimately had people, like, just if they see me in an Origins shirt or if like with a Silver Host thing, and they go, hey, are you going to be there again this year? Or, hey, I remember seeing you, can we come fight again this year? Especially the kids. Of
course.
the younger ones especially. And for me personally, that's one of my favorite reasons to come back is, so this is Thursday currently. So we started yesterday at noon. We had people in line at about 10:30 going, hey, can we sign a waiver to fight? We're like, we don't open for 2 hours. Like, that's okay, we'll come back. We just want to sign the waiver now. So, just to see that energy is one of the main reasons that I personally keep coming back. And I know it's one of the reasons as a group
Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. We hope you have a great rest of your show. Where can people find you online?
So Amtgard has several different online presence points. You can always go to amtgard.com. It's AMTGARD. That's where we have our rules of play. It's also where you can find a local chapter to you. It's not always the most up-to-date, but it's a good starting point. You can also find us online on Facebook. You can just look up Amtgard, or if you're in the Ohio/Michigan/Indiana/Kentucky region, that's going to be Kingdom of the Rising Winds, and they will help point you in the right direction. Even if you're from outside of that area, you can always reach out to the Rising Winds. You can reach out to Blackfire Pass. We're also on Facebook, and we can get you pointed in the right direction.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are here at Origins Game Fair with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, I am Sean Jackman. I am the marketing director for KTBG and Burnt Island Games, and very, very excited to be here in Columbus. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins?
Yeah, so we have two different brands, actually. We are Burnt Island Games and KTBG. And for KTBG, we do kind of family weight games that kids can play, but adults also want to play. So we've got some new titles here. We're showing off Nana Toridori, which is a delightful hand-shedding card game. It's the type of game where you are dealt a hand of cards and you cannot rearrange them, and you're trying to get rid of all of your beautiful bird cards from your hand as you're playing, and you don't want to be left with cards in your hand. So that's a new one. It's releasing here at Origins, and it was originally a Japanese game, and we're kind of localizing it here. So what interested us in this game is we had been playing it on Board Game Arena and loving it. It's a quite addictive, simple card game. And so bringing it here was kind of a no-brainer, bringing it to North America. And so this is our first chance to see people playing it, and it's getting a really good response. So that's been great. We also, in our booth, have the next game in the Creature Comforts series, which is called River Market. So Creature Comforts is by far kind of one of our best-selling, cozy, family games, and River Market is kind of the summer version of it, where you are going to be building a rondel, adding new shops to the River Market as you play, hiring employees, and the whole thing is very, very simple, plays out in about 30 minutes. So I think it's probably the fastest and most accessible of the Creature Comforts games so far. And this has been fun because we've been kind of teasing it for a long time, but we have it here in prototype form so people can actually get familiar with the gameplay and whatnot. And so that's been really good, like just seeing people's reaction to it, because board game designers, like we publishers, we kind of do a lot of things in a bubble. So getting those games out there to people on the table and seeing the positive reaction is really good. So that's been great. And the last one to talk about under our Burnt Island brand that we're showing off for the first time is How to Save a World. So this is a game all about, we are scientists, we've discovered this planet. It's the only planet we've found that can sustain complex life outside of Earth. But when you know it, it is in the direct path of a giant asteroid that is going to come and destroy everything. So as scientists, of course, we all want to save the planet, but we cannot agree on how to do it. So we're working on different projects, a giant laser to destroy it, a shield to protect the planet, or as a last resort, a evacuation to get everybody off of the planet. And so you're kind of working on these various projects through worker placement and hand building and also bag building as you go along. And it's got kind of a sci-fi action movie feel to it, where there is a giant asteroid component that is inching closer and closer to the planet as you play the game. And, the pressure sort of builds as it's getting there, and you have to hopefully come up with a plan that's going to save the world. So yeah, showing off those games and then a lot of other ones that are like recent ones in our library. And so it's always fun. It's just good to be in Columbus, like with the crowds of people and like being able to show off our games.
What influences and inspirations would you say that
I think we're influenced, as most publishers and designers are, like from the industry around us. We take things that we enjoy in other games and try to put our own twist on it. But we're also very much interested in first-time designers and designers who have opinion, like ideas outside of the box. How to Save a World is a first-time designer. Another game of ours, Lairs, is a first-time designer. And we tend to work with these people who they have developed their ideas outside of the industry. And so that's really important to us, like fresh new ideas. And we always when we recognize something that is a unique idea through, a pitch or whatever, like we try to capitalize on that. So, I mean, in terms of like influences, I would say like everybody, we take influences from everywhere around us, and like we see things from other great publishers that we're just like we admire and we love. And we don't try to emulate anybody else. We really try to do our own thing, but we bring in those influences from other places. And then from our lives, like we like to bring in ideas. Like, I mean, one of our games, it was developed by the two 11-year-old cousins who were family members of the owners of the company. And so like we find inspiration sort of everywhere and we try to draw it in. And it's like, I think being open to those ideas, and like if you are a publisher, you are probably looking at things from a board game perspective at almost all times, like, oh, that could be a game, or this could be a game. So
Sure.
Yeah, I think we pull it. I think that's a broad answer, but I think we kind of pull them in from all sorts of places.
Yeah, I mean broad, but I mean it's also honest. It's definitely a very easy for someone to be like, oh well, I like the movie Legend.
Mm-hmm.
I did this, but I mean it's also says something about the community that the board game community kind of fosters within itself. It's like I feel like everybody's pretty close,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really cool to see, especially again like with the indie games. It's really cool to see the community that has built up from that amongst the publishers.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah, and I mean I've heard different stories. Like Reiner Knizia famously said, like, I don't play other people's games, and it's like I don't think you would be a great board game designer or publisher if you don't love games and
Right.
you're not like taking something from those games.
I completely agree. Yeah.
So there's a lot of board game conventions out there. Why Origin?
Origins. So I've been coming to Origins for many, many years now, and I just love this show. Like I love the city of Columbus. It's great. The location is fantastic. Right across from the North Market. That's always a favorite place to visit. But in terms of the feel of Origins, it's really different than a lot of the other shows that are out there. Gen Con, for example, it feels very rushed and very crowded, and it feels like there's less time to connect with people, sit down and play games, and it's a lot about the new hot things, which is great. It has a place for that, and I enjoy Gen Con for that reason. But Origins has a feel more conducive to playing games, chilling out with friends, like trying new things. And traditionally, it has been less of a place where there have been a lot of releases. So more the focus I find is on game playing and connecting with people. And so that makes it like a really special show. And I mean, we have been able to, as a publisher, we've been able to kind of grow in this place, like in a way that I think is difficult to do in other conventions. So being able to kind of grow as a company and then expand like our presence here has been really, really satisfying for us. And it's like anytime you go to a show, like anytime you're in a new town, you remember, you're like, oh, this restaurant, and oh, this person I'm always going to see. Like I see people at shows that I know they're only going to be at Origins and stuff like that. And so it's great to connect to people. And so, I mean, Origins, I don't know. I guess it's just more casual, more relaxed, and that's a fun thing, especially from a publisher point of view.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. And we hope you have a great rest of your show. If people want to find your product and find you online, where can they do that?
Yeah. So we are Kids Table Board Gaming. You can find us at Kids Table BG on most of the major platforms, and Burnt Island Games on most of the different platforms. So yeah, we're out there and hoping to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right.
We are here once again live at Origins with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Luke Stratton, also known as Limithron. I make Pirate Borg, the worst pirate RPG ever made. Yeah, and I'm here at Origins. I'm a Columbus native, though I don't live here, so happy to be back at Origins. This is my show I would come to as a younger lad to play card games and stuff. So yeah, thanks for having me here.
Well, thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
So Pirate Borg is a rules-light, scurvy-ridden tabletop role-playing game. You're playing as a terrible pirate in an undead-infested Caribbean. It's quick to table, art heavy. It's got rules light naval combat. One of the things about the setting, we like to say it's the Caribbean, just not our Caribbean. It's overrun by undead, but when you destroy the undead, they leave behind an ectoplasmic dust called ash, which is kind of like spice meets magic mushrooms, maybe. So the pirates are going around and risking their lives to destroy these terrible skeletons in hopes of recovering some of this valuable commodity that they can then sell to the West India Company or consume in a recreational fashion. But yeah, we've got a booth out there on the floor. We're kind of promoting our Kickstarter that went last year, Down Among the Dead, which is going to be shipping at the end of this year. We've got a starter set for Pirate Borg and a new expansion book. So yeah, that's the vibe, I guess.
Oh yeah. What inspirations and influences would you say you guys have that you like to give credit to?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think Pirates of the Caribbean is the obvious answer, but our elevator pitch is often Sea of Thieves meets Darkest Dungeon, if you're familiar with those video games. Because it's kind of an open world setting. You're playing as a pirate, but it's definitely got that grim, dark atmosphere. It can be a very deadly game at times, depending on how you run it and how your dice rolls go. But yeah, you might be playing. We like to say that the character is the setting, not you, the main character is the setting, not your character. But I don't know. Obviously, Morkborg is a big influence. It's based on and compatible with Morkborg, which is a kind of a rules like D20 role playing game. What else? Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That's a big influence for me. There's a long list actually. So yeah, I could talk about influences for a long time.
How long have you guys been at it? How long have you been in the industry?
I started in COVID. Before being an RPG designer, I was a concert lighting designer. And COVID, that all really got paused.
Yeah, I think we had the chance to possibly talk to you last year.
Yeah.
But you were at a gig. Or
Oh yeah, I
something.
was not here last
Yeah.
year. I was out on tour. I was I think I went to 20 countries last year.
Oh my gosh!
But I retired from that because this is going so well.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I started in COVID. Like I played Breath of the Wild for like a month in lockdown, and I was like, I think I need to like do something productive, and I started drawing pirate ships for my like online D&D campaign, and I was like running a Patreon, selling or promoting those maps, and I was getting really burnt out on prepping my game and making 4 or 5 maps a month. So we took a break. And then one of my players ran Morkborg for us, and we had like more fun playing that than any game we'd ever played because there were like way less rules and it was more story driven but also like dark and chaotic. So I ended up hacking that because they have the best third party license in the industry. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I hacked it. Kickstarter went really well, and then the second Kickstarter went so well that now my brother works for me full time, and he's moving from LA to Colorado, which is where we're based.
That's awesome.
So yeah. We're a team of 3 now, and it's going good. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
How would you describe your target audience?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say generally speaking, we usually cater to people who have some RPG experience, or Pirate Borg is their first RPG, because we often say like playing a drow sorcerer is like the average, we call the normie may not know how to do that, or you may not understand. Like maybe their only entry into fantasy is Lord of the Rings, but everybody knows how to be a pirate. Like I can hand like a D20 to a 12. I ran for a 10-year-old last weekend. Like you give them a dice, you tell them what they're on a ship. What do you want to do? And everybody can role play as a pirate. It's like there's a reason there's 8-year-old birthday parties that are pirate themed.
Right. It's actually interesting you bring that up. My 21st birthday party.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like so it's a great entry at that point. But on the flip side, Pirate Borg is a rules light, but it's definitely an OSR game. It's designed with lots of tables and rulings over rules. So while it's rules light and easy for a GM to run without the rules, it's also a great system for people who are really experienced with role-playing games to be like, okay, we did let me read a 300-page book. Now let me just wing it, So those are our 2 maybe primary demographics. People who like rum. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a lot of different board games there.
Yeah.
Why Origin?
Well, like I said, Origins was my first convention. I'm Columbus born and raised. I also think that this is a really great show for people who like to play RPGs. We run a bunch of events at Origins every year, and we have a pretty strong community that keep coming back to play. And I really, really like Columbus, and I like the convention center. This is we're staying in the Hilton, which is attached. So every night when we get done at the booth, we just walk over to the Hilton and run pickup games. Like last night, my brother was running Pirate Borg for 8 different vendors.
Oh my god!
They're all screaming pirate stuff in the lobby. It's just a good vibe. It's also not quite as big as Gen Con, which means I have a little bit more room to breathe and talk to people and have fun, rather than it just being our publisher. We're published by Free League, so those guys only come in for Gen Con. So there's dinners and meetings, and this is a little bit more we get to remember why we're here. It's to play games,
Yeah, we've actually talked about it quite a few times where we have figured out that there's no way we could do what we do as a podcast, sit down with people and have these types of conversations at Gen Con.
Yeah, Gen Con is all scheduled. It's there's just so many things happening, and that's good for once a year.
Yeah.
But this some of my favorite memories are from this show because you get to network with people that there's enough of a ebb and flow, and there's enough people for it to be worth having everybody here, but there's few enough industry things happening that you can actually breathe a little bit. So
right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Of course.
We hope you have a great rest of your show. If someone wants to find your products or find you online, where can they do that?
Limithron.com, or if that's too hard to remember, pirateborg.com.
Thanks a ton.
Thanks.
We are live here at Origins Game Fair with a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jeff Tatarek. I'm with the Columbus Ghostbusters. We were invited here to Origins as part of their 50th anniversary. We're in the Cosplay Tavern, and we're there with a bunch of other cosplay groups. The 501st is here. We've got a Halo group. We've got Toothless the puppy, who is awesome. I've seen Toothless before. So we're here to spread smiles, and we've had a lot of smiles spread already on this very first day.
So could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here at the convention and what you do as an organization?
We are a fan-run organization. We are part of Ghost Corps, which is a body of Ghostbusters franchises that are officially recognized by Sony, by the studio. So, like if there's a showing for one of the new films, like would it be Afterlife or Frozen Empire, they'll contact us and say, would you be willing to go to a theater and have a public appearance to promote the release of the film? And we'll do that. We also do charity events. That's where a nonprofit, so anything we do goes to charity. We've done parades. We've done community events. We're repeat at a few events in the greater Columbus area because they like us so much on us back, because we're a draw, and we've got kids that are looking at us and like, well, we like the cartoon. And usually it's the parents like pushing. It's like, he really loves Ghostbusters. Like, yeah, I can tell you do too. It's fine. But that's really what we're there for, is just to spread smiles and have fun.
So what's the pipeline here? How do you go from I saw this movie Ghostbusters to I am now in a Ghostbusters cosplay group and doing charity events?
Well, I guess I'll tell you my story with that. I'm an OG. I saw it in '84 when it first came out, and the way that the props look, the proton pack and everything, the Ecto-1 and all that sort of stuck with me for a while. And like, it'd be kind of cool if I could do that once in a while. And then the 25th anniversary rolled around in 2009. And I went, you know what? I'm going to make a pack. I don't care how long it takes. It took me the better part of a year. And this old fellow that's sitting right next to me is still the original pack. It's mostly made of plywood and PVC pipe. That's a pie tin. So I mean, nowadays people can buy them ready-made from Hasbro or Spirit Halloween, and it's possible to completely 3D print one, which I'm in the process of trying to do. But sort of handcrafting it gives it a cachet, and all the weathering is come by legitimately. But what I was leading to with that is that there was a 25th anniversary showing of the film at a local theater, and I found out that there's a costume group, and that kind of spurred me a little bit. It's like, I want to hang out with people like this, and it was like people that at that point were the Columbus Ghostbusters, like 3-4 people, and I think I'm the only one that's left that is still doing it. So I became the nucleus of the Columbus Ghostbusters sort of by default, and then attracted people to us. We did showings. We've pulled in members from like sort of drive-in showings, like the North Market, which is sort of like kind of behind the convention center here. Back when they weren't a building site for a high-rise that's going up, they did an outdoor drive-in, an inflatable screen, and my car and one other person's car were the anchors for that screen. And so it kind of grew organically from there. We had maybe half a dozen members or so for a while, and then after Afterlife and Frozen Empire came out in the last few years, as well as the 2016 Answer the Call film, we got more and more people, and it got to the point where we've got close to 24 at least, probably more. And it's a nice little group. We don't have very, very high standards. Like, if you look like a Ghostbuster, great. Is it screen accurate? No, that's fine, because they're Ghostbusters. They would have hit bash anything they could find. And so it's kind of laid back. It's nice. It's just a nice way for geeks to get together and have a shared interest. And in some cases, some of us are also interested in board games, including me.
Yeah, I've been kind of I want to say Ghostbusters adjacent for years. I have a friend who does one up in, I want to say, the Clinton area.
Yep, there's a chapter up there. There's at least 5 or 6 in Ohio alone, and they're all across the country, all across the world.
Yep. And then we run into the one in West Virginia all the time at the Mothman.
Mothman, yes, we've had. I think some of us have been there. I think there's another group, Central Ohio Ghostbusters, will go out to do that as well. So yeah, we've Columbus Ghostbusters have been to Mothman before.
Nice. So yeah, maybe I've seen you guys there.
It's possible. I do know that there's a story attached to that. I wasn't there, but we had like a small convoy, and they were crossing the bridge from Ohio into West Virginia, lights on, and we run amber lights because we don't want to be run afoul of the law. And they ran afoul of the law, because when you cross over the bridge into West Virginia, you can't have those kind of lights on at all. So everyone was pulled over into a McDonald's parking lot, I think it was. And we just got, a gentle talking to us, like, please don't do that. This is awfully cool, but please don't do that. And like, everyone in the McDonald's is like got their faces pressed against the glass, like, oh, the Ghostbusters got pulled over. But that's the Mothman story that I've got.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's the government trying to bring down the Ghostbusters.
Well, yeah.
Again.
Shut this down. Shut it all down.
This man is dickless.
Well, that's what I heard.
What's your favorite part about being part of this group and being a Ghostbuster?
Honestly, it's I did mention this earlier, where it's like the parents are like pushing their kids up because the parents want to be closer to us because it's their nostalgia as well. I think honestly, it's freaking out the normals, for lack of a better term, wearing the pack and wearing this and being at a convention that's in this convention center. And then like going across the street to North Market, pushing open the doors like, hey, anybody seen a ghost? And like heads turn. And we're the center of attention. And that's kind of, that's probably that is the most fun thing, is just sort of breaking that fourth wall, coming out from a film and bringing it to real life just to see how people react to it. I've been called a Terminator. I've been called, is that the jetpack you're wearing? I've got my own personal ecto. It's a GMC Terrain that's sort of a modern take on it. I get asked if I'm a storm chaser all the time. It's sort of like just that bulge from cinema reality to actual reality, and some people just aren't prepared for it, and that's the source of many fun stories.
Oh, I can imagine.
Well, one thing I've noticed when driving my Ecto, because it's in full regalia the whole time, it's my daily driver, is I'll be on the interstate speeds, and I'll see a car go to a different lane, usually the left lane, and they'll pull up alongside, and then they'll drift back until they're just off my left rear quarter. And like, you're taking pictures. I know it.
Yep.
You're not being coy. I understand what you're doing. Totally.
So what would you say to someone who is thinking about doing something like this but hesitant, or like they've decided they want to do something like this and then they want to join? What do you have to say to those people?
Basically, enjoy Ghostbusters. And if you've got strong opinions about one film or another, that's okay. But we like it all, including the very divisive film with the female cast from 2016, I think it was, Answer the Call. That was a real divisive point, a real wedge in the fandom. Basically, if you don't like it, that's fine, but a lot of us do, so don't yuck our yum.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. Personally, it had its flaws, sure, but I enjoyed it as a film that, even if it's not in the main timeline, it's a different timeline, and I'm okay with that. I think other than that, if you have a Ghostbusters impression, that's really what I ask. If you want to be like in just a straight Ghostbuster in the suit, that's fine. We've also had someone who's done the Louis Tully for us with the colander helmet. Nice. We've got a really good Dana Barrett as Zool. And she also does a 2016 Ghostbuster.
Oh, cool.
We've got I'm sorry, not Zool. We got Zool. We've also got I'm completely blanking on the name. Aim for the flat top. Gozer, yes. Yeah. We've also got a Gozer who does that bubble pop suit.
That's so cool.
And we don't care what sort of pack they have. Like, I've got the classic. No, it's not really a classic. It's because it's got this different ribbon cable, which is for Ghostbusters too, but that's real nerdy. We've got people that have the packs that have the yellow bumper from the latest film. We've got people that have custom packs. We had one member who did a Nightmare on Elm Street mashup with Ghostbusters, the Dream Buster. It was Freddy, for like the mask, the sweater, everything. Their pack was made to look like a boiler, and the hose came out to Freddy's glove.
Wow.
And it was an excellent mashup. The poor person in it couldn't see, couldn't hear. It was like having a fishbowl over their head. So they just had to be directed around. But I think I've only seen them do it once, and I hope they do it again because it's a brilliant mashup. So like those are the kind of, 501st, love them. They've got standards. We don't have that level of standards. So it's a bit of an easier draw. We've got people who are in the 501st who just come to bum around with us. Mostly it comes down to, don't be a jerk, have a Ghostbuster.
So there's a lot of different conventions out there. Why Origins?
At Origins, the main reason is because we were asked. Origins wanted us here, which I greatly appreciate. But also, I found out that several of our other members are also board game enthusiasts. My wife and I are. We've got a collection of over 300, and it's growing. It grew by 9 today. So we haven't added that in. We've got a 4x4 Calyx at home in the garage just waiting to be assembled, and we're going to shift around our living room. So yeah, I think it's the board game enthusiasm. It's too bad there isn't another game that's coming out. I've got the one from Cryptozoic, and I've also got the Ghostbusters and MIB crossover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And there's also the tabletop RPG from the past.
Right.
But yeah, so Ghostbusters does have its foot in the door in terms of being here for board game representation.
You definitely could do more, I think.
I think they could.
A lot of potential.
I think they could. We got the video games are covered as well. I think it's maybe time for a different Ghostbusters game. And I don't know if just reskinning Zombicide is the way to go. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it done in a different way.
Yes, absolutely. It deserves its own adaptation.
It does, yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us. We hope you have a great rest of your show. If anybody wants to find you guys online, where can they do that?
Yeah, the main ones would be Instagram and Facebook. Columbus Ghostbusters.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, yes. My decree is as follows. Han always shot first. McClunky never existed. It's a fever dream. Greedo shooting first, also a fever dream. Never happened. Han shot first, period, end of sentence.
Guild decree.
Guild decree.
We are here again at Origins Game Fair with a returning guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
I am Tim Elder. I am the Extra Life Columbus president. So we've been working with Origins, I think, now since 2018. We've been here raising money for Nationwide Children's Hospital. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what brings you to Origins.
Yeah, so Extra Life is a United States-based and Canada charity where local gamers get together and we raise money for our local children's hospital. So here in Columbus, Nationwide Children's. So Origins, I know in the very beginning wasn't here in Columbus, but for a very long time now has been based here in Columbus. So we have worked with them since 2018. They donate us a nice large booth where we can raise money for the kids. And then all the great sponsors here and the exhibitors always donate lots of product for us. So I think after this morning, I think we're up to somewhere around like 20 raffles from all these folks just giving amazing products for us to raise money for kids. So Origins has always been just an outstanding partner to us. So we always want to be here and interact with all the folks and hopefully get some new folks to join us. Everyone has whether it's tabletop, TCG, video games, even now Extra Life's been trying to branch into kind of sports and stuff like that. So think of all the games out there, right? Sure. There's a gamer in all of us. So getting out there and helping raise money for the kids that really need it.
So how long have you been doing Extra Life and what inspired you to start?
Yeah, so I've been this is my 12th year. Extra Life as a whole has been around for 15. So I've been pretty much there since the beginning. My vice president has been there since the beginning. So I didn't know what Extra Life was, and a lot of people still don't know what it is. A buddy of mine who played World of Warcraft with was in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I saw pop up on his Facebook page one day that he was raising money for his local hospital by doing a 24-hour gaming event. And what is this? This seems cool. So I reached out to him and he's like, yeah, they told me about Extra Life. It was a charity that was started by a doctor in Texas. And there was a little girl and she was diagnosed with cancer, got cleared of cancer, and then unfortunately got cancer again. And that's what eventually took her life. And she loved to play video games. Like that was what she did in the hospital to pass time and always had high energy, was a cheerleader, gymnast, and all this stuff. And the doctor's name was Doc, which is funny. But he was like, we have all these charities out there, all these ways to raise money, through big corporations, but why can't we have gamers do this? Like it's a huge group, the idea of YouTube and all that stuff was starting to get popular and then eventually streaming. And he's like, why can't gamers do this? So they got together with Tori's family. Victoria was the gal, the little girl, and they started Extra Life. And then eventually Children's Miracle Network hospitals kind of took Extra Life into their big brand in order to have another outlet in money. So my buddy was doing it for Hershey Children's Hospital, and he told me about it. I'm like, I'm going to sign up. This sounds fun. Like back then I could do 24 hours straight of gaming and not feel like I'm going to fall apart. And that year I actually raised money for Hershey because I didn't know that Columbus had a guild. I knew Nationwide existed, but I didn't know anything about that. And then I found like the Discord and the groups, and I was like, oh, we have a local Columbus chapter. So I went to a meeting and met all the folks there. And since then it's just been history, 12 years later. The past 3 years, I've been the president of the local chapter. So, and the hospital, the thing with a lot of these hospitals is it's gamers, we're volunteers. It's not your stereotypical donors, right? So some hospitals, they don't understand it. Nationwide Children's over the past 12 years have really got behind Extra Life because we were able to kind of talk to them in a business aspect of look, here's where we started. We were doing like $10,000 a year, right? Then we're doing $20,000 and then we're doing $50,000. Past 3 years, we've done over $100,000 for the hospital. So when you start to show the hospitals, like these are what these gamers can do, not just the 24 hours because we're not doing Origins 24 hours, right? But we can do all this other stuff and we can get the community involved through local gaming groups like here locally, Guard Tower and Dragon's Lair, and they run events not even with us. Like we just got them involved and now they create their own pages and run with it. And so it keeps growing every year. So the hospital just, they get behind us, they get behind that brand. For me, I don't believe probably anyone out there has not had an experience with a children's hospital in some way, family member, their own children themselves. And so when you tie it to that, like everyone is like, we want to be a part of this in some way, shape, or form. So yeah.
Yeah, longtime listeners will know I've done Extra Life for a while. I did take a little bit of a detour this past year and instead did a charity stream for CODA because we were trying to raise money for my niece's transplant.
Yep.
But we'll probably be back to Extra Life pretty soon.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you are. There's an Extra Life chapter, and they're doing awesome things. Like one of the more recent years that I was in with the Nashville chapter doing Extra Life, Monroe Carroll, the Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt in Nashville, was basically told Extra Life, if you raise X amount, we'll be able to use that and we'll open a whole new motility wing in our hospital.
Right, yeah.
And Nashville actually hit 3 times the goal for them to do that. And that's all through gamers raising that money. So it's all fantastic. So I'd highly recommend anybody out there to support this wonderful organization or, do what you can to be a part of it.
Yeah, we I think it was last year, I was invited to one of the dinners at the hospital and they were showing off I always call it the AI lab. It's not, but it's a lab where they're using virtual reality headsets. They're using computer programmed mannequins. They're using all this new technology. And they were showing it off. Like, here's how we can educate doctors, nurses, staff, parents, guardians, how to do things that are complicated in a safe space, right? If you screw up on a mannequin, we do it again. If you screw up on a child, now we have a problem, right? The child might not recover from that, especially in surgery with the doctors or at home. One of the most common things that parents have to do at home with their kids is like a trach, right? The tube down the throat to help them breathe. That's a very common thing that parents have to go home and be able to do on their own. And that is not easy and could cause a lot of damage to the kid. So we were going through this lab and we had all these rich folks around, they're drinking their wine, their cocktails, they're having a good time. And, they're throwing thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to the hospital. But not at one point did any of them ask the doctor there, what do you guys need? Like, what do you need? What can we do to help? And we did. And they're like, what do you mean? We're like, well, we do Extra Life. We raise money. Like, what do you want? Like, what is something that will change this for the better? And they're like, well, we could use a new mannequin, like a child mannequin for trachs. And we're like, okay, how much is it? And they're like, it's like $100,000. We're like, we'll get it for you next year. And so what we did was our $100,000 that we did last year, we bought them a thing. And then when we got them that, we got a little kid's Extra Life jersey. And so the mannequin wears the Extra Life jersey. And we got to go there and they showed us how they train and stuff on it. But it was a great way that we could just say, we get to determine where this money goes. So they wanted that. We're like, we can do that for you. Let's go. And she was just like, really? Like all these other rich people around here not doing anything? And this guy that's in a suit jacket and an Extra Life t-shirt is like, not a tie, not a bow tie, not Gucci, is going to give me $100,000 mannequin that's going to change what we do here. And we did. And it's awesome. So,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you already touched on this a little bit, but there's a lot of places you could go to promote Extra Life. Why Origin?
So, like I said, it's the whole concept of Extra Life was gamers healing kids. We've went through a variety of different mottos. We had play games, heal kids. We've had so many different mottos. And at the end of the day, when you look back on gaming, where did it all start? It started on the kitchen table, and this I believe is the 50th anniversary of Origins. Not always here in Columbus, but at the epitome of it, when you walk in those halls in there and you walk through it, what is it? It's a whole bunch of people who don't know each other sitting around a table socializing, right? So why Origins? One, it's local here, and it's the epitome of where Extra Life came from. So we need to be here, and Origins wants us to be here. So that's really what it comes down to is you can't get any closer to what this was created for than an Origin.
Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show.
Yep.
If people want to find you online, where can they do that?
Yeah, so I've gotten rid of most social media, but you can find me on Blue Sky and most other things at Davrim, Davrim. If you are podcast listeners, which I hope you are, because I don't see a camera in here, which is good because I'm tired and I look it. You can check out my podcast, which is Pirate Talk Radio. It's a Sea of Thieves podcast. But yeah, and then if you're interested in Extra Life, you can just Google search Extra-Life and get involved with your local chapter. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are here at Origins Game Fair with a brand new guild member. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew Davis. I am owner and maker of the world's first dice donut, the Dodecadonuts.
Hey, tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
First and foremost, what I brought to Origins was dice donuts. Yeah, so I make, they're 100% real, totally fake donuts. They're wooden donuts with like a resin top to hold your dice, keep all your precious things safe inside a precious thing. We also have coffee cup dice towers and coffee bags that are actually dice bags. We sell stickers, pins, and patches as well, like a whole bunch of kind of fun stuff. And we're in the middle of a Kickstarter for a card game called Fantasy Food Fight that's live on Kickstarter right now. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the game. We'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. So it's a take that style game where basically you bake dishes, and then from those dishes generate something we call splat, which you throw at other players, which you drop in front of them. Someone gets 8 splat, they're out of the game. And then there's a whole host of action cards we call Cinemonsters. So things like the Licorice Lich, the Eclairvoyant, the Donut Dwarf, that all have different like kind of abilities and functions to help you hurt the table, deflect damage. You can even use the janitor will come and clean everything up for you, clean up some of the damage. So it's like a good game. It'll play just a basic card game. It plays up to 6 players. It takes 20 to 40 minutes for a round of play. It's very good to play with a bunch of people that you want to give a hard time to. So it's jam. So it's the first card game it's the first game that we've ever done. My son designed the game. My daughter did all the illustration. I did all the graphic design. It's a family affair.
It sounds awesome. I think we got a little sneak peek of it at the booth.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. And the dice holders, the dice towers, the bags, they look great.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean, that's really what we're going, like, to be fair, like we have a funny niche, right? And
Yeah.
I think, but it's important for me that like the best jokes are the ones that are told with like a straight face. So it's like, we try to make these things like little works of art because it just makes them, to me, it makes it even funnier that they're like these super precious little objects. Yeah.
It's like just hearing about it, it's really easy to be like, oh, this is a funny joke product.
Yeah.
But once, like, I mean, I know anybody listening can't see them, but if you were to see them, it would cease to be funny because they're just that pretty.
They're very pretty. Yeah. And that's what I want out of them. Like I want them to be something that people can put on their desk, or every time they pull them out of their bag to play, that they get a little like spark of joy. You get a little bit of like, they laugh every time they see them. We've been selling them in like small quantities for a number of years, like on the West Coast at a event called KublaiCon, and I will get people coming back with like the very first ones I made, which between you and me are a little rough. And people are like, I love my donut, and they pull these things out and drop them on the table in front of us, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, and they love them. Every time they look at them, every time they pull them out, they smile, they laugh. It's like, it's great, And then like the coffee cup dice towers, like all of our, it's very funny. Like all of our stuff is in an audio format, guys. A little hard to explain, but it's basically a coffee cup that you drop the dice in the top of it, and it comes out the side, and it rolls your dice. It's a dice tower. It's actually a pretty good dice tower.
Yeah.
But it shocks people every time I drop dice, and then the first time they see it, they're like, the donut. They're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then they see the dice tower and they're like, holy crud, that's really cool. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to share them with people. It's a lot of fun to do all that stuff.
So how did the idea come about, and then how did we go from idea to a product
an
that you're
actual
selling?
thing? Yeah. So the short version of the story was in like 2016, 2017. I'd gotten back, 5th edition had come out. I'd started watching I'd started listening to Critical Role, and campaign 2 had started about the same time that I got like a little hobby CNC machine, which for people who don't know, that's like basically a computer controlled router. And I have always been a woodworker. I've always kind of made stuff, and this was sort of and I was like, oh, I want to make back into D&D. I made myself a little dice tray. I'd done some other things. I was like, I want to make a dice vault, but I don't want to make like everybody's doing hexagons. That's easy. I want to make something different. So I'm just thinking of different shapes and possibilities I can make. And Laura Bailey and Jester, obsessed with pastries.
Yep.
And it just sort of popped in my head of how I could make essentially a torus or like a bagel shape and slice it horizontally and put some pockets in it, and that would be a really interesting shape to make a dice vault out of. And oh, by the way, I'm sure it would look like a donut. That would be pretty funny. So I made one. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. If you've got one donut, you got to have a dozen donuts.
Yeah.
You make a dozen donuts. Like, what the hell am I going to do with a dozen wooden donuts? That's way more donuts than I need. So I started selling them, and it was very much like a hobby business. I was selling them. I will shout out to one of my favorite West Coast local game conventions, KublaCon. They were kind enough to have me in. I shared half of an 8-foot table, and I did that for a few years. And you're just selling the donuts, and they're like, oh well, I need something else. I should sell something else to go along with them. So we designed some T-shirts, we designed some other stuff, and then lo and behold, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was sitting across from somebody who was doing some very nice 3D printed dice towers, and I was like, oh, dice towers are kind of cool. I hadn't really thought about that. How would I make a dice tower that fits within this sort of pastry niche that I have generated for myself? Guys, if you anybody out there interested in starting a business, pick yourself like a real weird niche and then just dig. Just keep digging. So so it sort of popped in my head how I could take a coffee cup and turn it into a dice tower. I could put an assembly essentially inside it and it would just come in and out the side. So it's been redesigned a few times, and now we've had the insides injection molded, and it's a more efficient process than it was. But it's just been sort of this constant design a thing, iterate on the thing, but always with this idea of this niche of kind of pastry, unexpected thing kind of crossed with D&D and dice. We sell T-shirts that say Dungeons, Dragons, Donuts, Dice, and that's like kind of really like our jam. Is like that's where I want to be, is that sort of like that unexpected thing that kind of gets inserted into the whole process. That when people see it, they go, okay, now that I didn't make sense when I saw it, when I heard about it, but now that I see it, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Well, I got to bring up the fact what brought us to your table, because it wasn't the donut. So affiliate of our podcast, Level Up Sabers, was like, you got to go talk to this guy over here because he's got these awesome stickers.
Yes.
The no Nazis allowed at this table.
No Nazis at the table. So the story of no Nazis at the table is, I am unabashedly a lefty, right? I believe in people and humanity and empathy and all the rest of it. And I'm very much a believer in the paradox of intolerance, which is a tolerant society. The only thing that tolerant society can't tolerate is intolerance, right? Yeah. And so it just kind of came up in the online discourse, maybe like 6 months ago. Somebody who's pretty prominent had posted something about like, oh yeah, I'm willing to DM a table for anybody, including people who are maybe a little fashy. And which I'm like, I don't know if have you guys ever seen, there's a Reddit story about the Nazi bar, where basically like guy comes into finds a new local bar. He finds a new local bar. He's hanging out with the bartender. Some dude comes in and he's like, seems like a nice guy. And the dude's like, get out. Bartender's like, get out of my bar. And turns out that the guy who came in, who was like a nice guy, he's like, hey, yeah, he's nice. He's also like a Nazi. He's just a nice Nazi. And like pretty soon your bar goes from being just a bar that this guy happens to hang out into, and you're a Nazi bar, right? Yeah. And like, I kind of feel the same way about D&D. So I made it's essentially just the red circle, the band circle with no Nazis at the table on it. And I made it as like a meme image just to sort of post into the discourse. And I hope that people would share it. I thought it was kind of fun. It got some sharing, but then I was like, oh, I'm still angry about it, frankly. And so I had some stickers made and brought them to a convention and shared them with some of my friends who are also vendors. And then they were like, and then other people, they would put them prominently on their tables, and then pretty soon people would be sent to my booth. They're like, hey, do you have any of these stickers? I'm like, well, I only printed like 50, but I guess I'm going to print some more for the next one. So now I have No Nazis in the Table and No Nazis in the Room on as stickers. And they get a lot of people who are very excited. I mean, it's appalling that it has to be out there as an image. It's disgusting. That our society has even opened that up as a possible conversation to have. But that's where we're at, and I just want to be very clear, right? It's like, hey, I don't need you at my booth. I don't want you at my game table.
Yep. Yeah, it sucks that you have to say it.
It sucks that you have to say it, but
you do have to say it.
Yeah,
the fact that you're not afraid to say it, just like we're not afraid to say it.
Yeah,
you can't be afraid to say it. You gotta.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to live your beliefs, right? Yeah. And so are they welcome to go play at a table together and play some weird game? Yeah, go for it. You do you. I'm not saying that they shouldn't play games. I'm not saying they shouldn't participate, but I don't want them anywhere near me and mine. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to, So.
All right, so there's a lot of different gaming conventions out there.
Yep.
Why Origins?
Why Origins? So I was born in Dayton, which is not too far away from here. And I moved to New Jersey, and then I ended up in California. And I've been in California for a very long time. And I've done a lot of West Coast shows, and I've done a fair number of East Coast shows. But I had never really done anything in the Midwest. And I love Ohio. I love this area. I have a good friend who had become the exhibits manager here, and he pitched me on it, and I was already kind of inclined to look at it. I really did want to come out here and see what the community was like out here, and kind of just see what the vibe was, because I hadn't had an opportunity before, and I was like, come out and give it a go. And so far, I mean, we're day one, but it's been a great day, and people have been super excited about the stickers, super excited about the donuts. A lot of laughing about both the card game and the coffee cups and all the rest. People are into it. So yeah, I mean, that's basically why Origins. It's fun to be able to be back in what's changed. I drove by my childhood home from like 45 years ago, crazy, with my son who's never been in this part of the country before, and we're like, I grew up in this farmhouse. He's like, okay, this explains a lot about you, Dad. Yeah, very fun. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Yeah. We hope you have a great rest of your show.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to find your products or find you online, where can they do that?
So you can find us. We are at Dodecadonuts everywhere. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We're at dodecadonuts.com. The only place we're not is X/Twitter. But otherwise, you can find us. We're on Blue Sky in all the places. And I believe there's something I could declare something canon or not canon, right?
There's a guild decree that you're
a guild decree. My guild decree is, I hate to say it to everybody, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes. Yeah, guild decree.
I totally randomly came up. We were watching it last night on on the thing, and I'm like, there is Christmas music throughout this whole thing.
The entire soundtrack.
The entire soundtrack is Christmas music. Like I don't care what any of them say.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Christmas movie.
Sure,
100%. So yeah,
100%.
I just want to make that clear. Like that.
Well, we know what we're showing in the guild hall. all Die Hard all the time.
All Die Hard all the time. That's the way.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me, guys. It's great.
We are here live at Origins Game Fair with a returning guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Chris O'Neill from Ninth Level Games, your friendly game designing, raconteuring. How do you say that? I don't know how you say that. I tell stories. I make a lot of shit up.
All words are made up anyway.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you brought with you to Origins.
So Ninth Level is here at Origins. We have a wide variety of our polymorph products. It's our primary. We also have some friends in the booth with us this year. So we have a couple of games that aren't polymorphs, but they're related, at least in spirit, if not in mechanics. The newest thing that we have in the booth that you can buy is Rebel Scum 2nd Edition. The art's been updated completely. Every piece of art in the book was redone, and it added a bunch of adventures. It's important to get some anti-fascism. Book originally came out in 2016. It's like, turns out 2025 needs need to remind people again.
About that time.
We have preview copies of Thunder Road Vendetta, which actually comes out at Gen Con. We're running some specials on our modules for mazes. For the first year modules, we do a module every month. Comes out online, and the first 12 are available in Glorious Dead Tree. But we're going to change up from 1 at a time to 3 at a time, just because trying to save some dead trees. We have a bunch of new Cobalt stuff. We have some Cobalt's Adventures and its origins. So we have a new Cobalt pin. This one featuring Gary, who's the Dungeon Meister. Last year we had a naked Kobold holding a big die. That's the big stuff that we brought to the show. Plus all of our mazes and Return to Dark Tower and Pigeons 11 and everything else. Sentai and Sensibility, we have a big thing going on. And Scurvy Buggers, they weren't available last Origins. They've come out since last Origins. So if you want to dress up in pretty dresses and fight kaiju, or dress up in pretty dresses and fight each other on a ship, we got you covered.
I was honestly introduced to 9th level last year at Origins. This guy's been following the beginning. But after our last interview, I came to the Midnight Madness that year for my first ever experience with kobolds. And that was a blast.
The Midnight Massacre is a Origins tradition at this point. I think we've done it close to 25 times.
Unfortunately, by the time we got our media passes, you guys were sold out.
Just show up. I tell this to people all the time, and people know this. Like our kind of goal with kobolds has always been to never say no. Like, can I fit another person at this table? Yeah, I've run tables of kobolds, ate my baby for 35 people.
Oh my god!
If you got to do it, you got to do. And part of that comes from when back in the day, when we first started coming to Origins, first started as a company, we were a little chip on the shouldery kind of like, hey man, this isn't about that, it's like, it's about having a good time. But every time it just became if you want to play, we're here to play, right? That's what we're here for. If I have to get someone out of the audience and make them run a table, I will. I've done it before at Midnight Massacres, and I'll do it again. We've lined people up in the hallways and then been like, who here has played Kobolds Ate My Baby before? And people raise their hand. I'll be like, you run the table. Come on, you run the table. I recognize your face. You've definitely played before. Come on. And then we hand them a module and we say go. Yeah, it's some of the people that run every year. That's how they start it. In fact, Bug, who runs conventions for us, who works for 9th level, that's how they start it.
Great.
They were like 19. And I was like, you played this before? And they were like, no, I haven't. And I was like, well, you run the table. Here's a book.
I also wanted to share, thanks to you guys, last year and this year, I ran my first ever TTRPG for my daughter.
Oh, rock and roll.
And we ran the Princess game.
The Excellence.
Picked it up. Yes, the Excellence
Awesome.
picked it up at Origins last year. And she absolutely adored it. Can't wait to play again. So, I think what you guys are doing fantastic. The polymorph system is so easy to learn, so easy. If you've never run any before, it is so good.
We that means a lot. Thank you. We're very proud of it. I don't want to say it's our stated goal, but I mean, it sort of is. We talk about things. Well, the games that we make are either things that make it, we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get to, right? So we make fun shots, that we call them, that are games that can be played. They can be, you can figure out how to play it, and you can get it to the table, and you can be done in 2 or 3 hours, and that's it. And you had a great experience. Because for a lot of people, they want to role play, but the barriers are just so high. And sometimes those barriers were about content, right? Just one more game that's about violence, one more game that's about dude with sword goes fight monster, takes loot. Don't get me wrong, we make that game. We make mazes, right? I love that game. I want to play that game all the time. But then again, I've been playing this game, since 1981 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy. So we want to make games that people can pick up. And sometimes that means having themes that are speaking to them, whether it's as dumb as you're a kobold and you need to, bring back food for King Torg, all hail King Torg, or you're a pigeon and you're a bird that's committing crimes, like B-Birds do crimes, Pigeons 11. And then some of the games that we have are around, the themes are about building to a different audience. So Sentai and Sensibility says to one audience, hey, you like Sentai stuff, you should play this. Says to another audience, you like Jane Austen, you should play this. And then says to another audience, hey, like you want something that is like on the nose queer. That's just like, hey, we are different, or we are experiencing this, and I'm going to hit that kaiju with my pronouns, right? Like, and so, we have this diversity of things, and that's really important to us, that we're creating games and continuing to create games that are creating opportunities for people to play with new people, to make it easy for people. And it was built into the DNA from Polymorph. Like that was that is an actual stated goal of Polymorph. The original tagline, which we don't use because there's too many taglines on all of our stuff anyway, was just change your game, right? Because so many people just play 5e, right? And 5e is an actually really high barrier to entry, right? Like if you don't know someone that's going to sit you down and teach you how to play, it's very difficult.
As someone who didn't know about other TTRs other than D&D for a very long time, when I got my hands on D&D, I was like, oh, this is so easy. It's such a low barrier to entry. And I would teach people 5e all the time. And now that I know about other TTRPGs, I realize how complicated it actually is. And
we've been making Kobolds Ate My Baby for 25 years. And it's a joke. It's supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be. And when we first made it, it was dumb. And then we made it dumber. And then we made it easier. And then we made it even easier. And since it was a joke about Dungeons and Dragons, we referenced stuff and we did the things. And then we started making polymorph games. And one day we looked around and we were like, oh my God, our crunchy dungeon crawling game is easier to run than Kobolds Ate My Baby. Like it was like, that's a mistake. Like we have to rectify this immediately. Like I sat down at a table to run a Kobolds game and went, oh my God, there's so many more rules in Kobolds that I don't need, that we thought originally were really important, but a lot of them started out as just straight up jokes. Right? Like one of the biggest jokes in the original version of Kobolds Ate My Baby was there was a section called house rules. There were more house rules than there were rules. There was like 4 pages of rules and 20 pages of house rules.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
And like that's an original joke. That's a joke that's not in the new edition because the new edition's goal is to be like, oh, you think that monster is funny, sit down and play, where the original one was, hey man, let's make fun of second edition Dungeons & Dragons.
All right. So before we run out of time, give us the elevator on Thunder.
So here's the elevator pitch on Thunder Road. Thunder Road Vendetta, the RPG, is the Mad Max, Gaslands, car crashing, vehicular apocalypse of your dreams, right? It is a game that is designed to be played fast and furious, and that pun is 100% intended.
Sure. Yep.
Each player, you in this world, you resolve your problems by car, right? That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Well, how do we solve problems? With cars. That's how we resolve problems. So all polymorph games, you have you're either the D4, the D6, the D8, or the D10. But in Thunder Road, you are also the V4, the V6, the V8, and the V10.
That is so good.
So each of the type of cars from the board game represent one of the dice types in polymorph.
That's so fucking cool.
And the game, as a rule, so the rules were actually written by the same guys that made the board game. They came to us and said, hey, we'd really like to make an RPG based on Thunder Road. Do you think the Restoration, guys would go for that? We were like, absolutely, especially if, we've had a great experience with them with Return to Dark Tower, and it's, Dave Chalker and company, and being like, hey, Dave wants to write a Thunder Road RPG. You guys good with it? They were like, yep, sounds great. Make it happen. Everything in the game is designed to keep the action rolling. And to that, I mean, you are literally incentivized in the game to go big or go home. So one of the things is if you ever roll a 1, it's the pedal. And the question is are you hitting the gas pedal or are you hitting the brake? If you're hitting the gas pedal, it succeeds. If you're hitting the brake, it fails. Right? So I'm going to run over that. I don't want to go over that ramp. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. Well, then there's a chance you're going to fail. But if you want to go over it, there's a much better chance you're going to succeed. My favorite role in the game, though, is taking the key. So there's literally a set of keys you put on the table. And as a resource, if you roll the keys, you can pick them up on the table. And now you're the target. You put a target on your head because you're in the driver's seat.
That's awesome.
but it lets you succeed. And you do that, it doesn't require you to track any other kind of activity. So, because you're already tracking chassis, which is your car and your body, and you're tracking fuel, which is your ability to do cool stuff.
Sure.
Part of the game is setting up your post-apocalyptic settlement, right? Like the idea is you build a settlement because that's what always happens in that genre, right? Whether you live in the back of a 18-wheeler or, you know, on a boat named the Valdez, it doesn't matter, right? Whatever version of the apocalypse, you're going to build that. The game walks you through deciding what your apocalypse was, and then it also features characters, enemies that are in the board game, but also they built a whole lot more that are going to find their way into the board game eventually. So we've been talking with Restoration about some of their plans for what they're doing with the board game to see if we can keep the game up to date.
That's so cool.
We love talking to you, but we are over time.
Of course you are.
So thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great rest of your show. If somebody wants to find you guys online,
They can find us anywhere online at Ninth Level Games. Doesn't matter. If you want to find me directly, the only social media I do is Magic Missile at Blue Sky. So
got it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Rock and roll.
That is the end of day 1 of Origins Game Fair.
My feet hurt. The skin between my legs is non-existent, and I am tired.
But all that being said, I agree with all of that. First point.
Yes.
Second point, I've had a hell of a first day, and it's been a blast.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of good interviews in, as you've just heard. We played some. We just got done at the Allplay Media First Look event to take a look at some games they're going to be releasing later this year. We played Terrible Quest.
And I played Twinkle Twinkle.
And then we switched, and we both played both the games.
Indeed.
I was a fan of both of those games.
There's nothing wrong with Terrible Quest. It just didn't appeal to me. It wasn't terrible. I think it's fucked up because the whole point is you're supposed to be able to tear it. No. But yeah, the point of the game is to rip out little pieces of paper and like
in certain patterns.
I don't have my readers on me and my fingers are fat, so I had a hard time with it. So it's like, okay, I could see the appeal.
Meanwhile, I got first place when I played Terrible Quest.
Cheater.
And I tied for first when I played Twinkle Twinkle.
Yeah, and then I played Twinkle Twinkle, and I think I did pretty good. Like I told Guildmaster Rick, there were a couple people who were fast and loose with the
rules,
point scoring. No, not the rules.
The point scoring.
The rules are fine. Ammon was there to actually run the game, but the point scoring was a little fast and loose. So who knows? Who really knows who won that? I don't. Me. But it's a fun game. The components of it look great. That's the other thing too. It's like I see the finiteness of Terrible Quest. You know, you're going to run through those papers.
It is only a $9 game.
Yes. Well, so $10.
They told us $9.
Oh, they told us that.
Okay.
So
either
they lied to
way,
you.
maybe it's like $9.50 or something.
Yeah.
Up to like $10.
It could be.
But like, first of all, it comes with a lot of papers, and there's both an easy mode and a hard mode, and both of them have a very large stack of papers.
Sure.
And for $10, just buy another copy.
Just buy another copy. But
yeah, both of them were really great, and they were very accommodating at the party. We had a really good time. All in all, if the people you just listened to us interview and us haven't convinced you that you should come to Origins yet, I don't know what will, because this is an awesome convention.
Yeah, I heard, actually, I don't know if it's a reliable source, so don't quote me, but I heard that they give you $50 to come.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then we need to collect our $50. That's I haven't got mine yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. I just heard someone say it.
Sure.
I don't know if it's true.
Well, all that being said, email us, castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know what else you want us to look forward to and cover at Origins. Join us on the Discord, because that's where all the fun stuff is happening. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye.
See you. Bye. See you. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. Bye. 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 Bye.